cold blue screen flared to life. The cursor crawled forward, clicking upon the fateful file. Official new recruit training for Daydream Corporation, version 2, uploaded by the administrator. A close-up of the presentation file for the new recruits. With a single, decisive double-click, the gates leading into Daydream Corporation swung wide open. What manner of company is Daydream Corporation? In truth, a vibrant, colorful introduction flashed across the screen. Is that not the company selling hair loss treatment of unbelievable efficacy? This is Korea's sole miraculous hair growth elixir. It is legendary for making hair sprout as swiftly as a galloping steed. I heard they are a cosmeceutical enterprise specializing in remedies for skin ailments. Peace be still, for the product guarantees 100% efficacy and superb skin whitening. No matter how much you delay, this medicine exerts its power instantly. But that is not all. A brilliant kaleidoscope of colors burst forth with a warm welcome. We provide every manner of medicine you could ever desire. We are a magical guild, dedicated to forging miraculous pharmaceuticals. The mascot waved in greeting. See you again at Daydream Corporation. The frame plunged into sudden darkness. A close-up captured the enigmatic smile of a man in a tailored suit, clutching a microphone as he uttered cryptically ambiguous words. The auditorium erupted in a clamor of cheers. The man's voice rang out, clear and commanding. You are the chosen ones, the successful candidates. Amidst the tumultuous crowd, Kim Solium let his gaze wander pensively, thinking to himself, Daydream Corporation. What a familiar name indeed. Pale hands carefully lifted a black box emblazoned with the emblem of the company. The miraculous pharmaceutical guild rumored to be capable of crafting anything. And a declaration loaded with dark portent rang out. Among the new recruits, we have invited only a select few of the truly exceptional to this place. Congratulations. You have all been assigned to the field exploration team. The screen flickered with black and white static, unveiling a horrifying truth. The field exploration team of Daydream Corporation, one of the 5 units under the development division of the Colossus that appeared in the Chronicles of Abyss Exploration. A tragic squad otherwise known as the Suicide Squad. Whispers of doubt rippled across the hall. The field exploration team. I've never heard of such a unit. Me neither. Why would a pharmaceutical company have a team like that? Screening official employees by casting them into a desperate struggle for survival in a land of death. On the very first day of their training, Solium's footsteps were swift and resolute. Gritting his teeth in sheer determination, he thought, I must escape this godforsaken place immediately. The lights flickered violently. The master of ceremonies boomed. However, before your official employment begins, someone gasped in panic. What is happening? There shall be a brief probationary period. It shall serve as an absolute evaluation, judged solely by your practical capabilities. Naturally, to ensure that each individual is assessed with utmost precision. The master of ceremonies' smile tore open to his very ears, feral and grotesque. The full participation of every single soul is absolute. His voice rose to a shrill, menacing pitch. We shall root out any who dare to leech off others. The auditorium plunged into pitch black, deathly silence. A murmur swept through the crowd. A blackout? Why did the doors lock all of a sudden? I think they are about to show another presentation. Excuse me. A trembling voice shattered the dark. Wait, did anyone else hear that noise? The floor trembled and groaned in violent upheavals. Enshrouded in the absolute darkness, Kim Solium dug his fingers into his knees, bracing himself as he waited for the cataclysm to unfold. The fabric of the auditorium was torn asunder, replaced by a cold, desolate subway carriage. The candidates stood bewildered, staring at one another in utter, breathless panic. Over the speaker, a spectral voice echoed through the train as it hurtled through the night. Dear passengers, we thank you for traveling with the Abyss Transit Authority today. Our train will not be stopping. To ensure a pleasant journey to your final destination, please listen carefully to the announcements. The digital display flickered with distorted text. The next station? Please remain in your seats. The crowd gasped in shock. What is this? Next station? Remain in our seats? A subway? Is this some kind of virtual reality game? A frantic crowd of people clutched at the glass doors, their desperate cries echoing. Did we actually just move? Why won't the doors open? Pressing her face against the pitch-black glass, a girl wondered curiously, is this some new technology? Or maybe an escape room game? This is no new technology. Solium's eyes narrowed slightly, and it is certainly no escape room. Sitting motionless amidst the chaos, Solium cast his eyes down at the employee badge hanging from his neck. Yet, who could have ever foreseen this? That ironic poster from back then flashed through his mind. That landing a job would lead to this madness. Daydream Corporation, open recruitment for the first half of 20XX. Recruitment period, month X to month X. Limited vacancies. Departments of recruitment, field expedition team, research team, and administrative support team. We await you in the place of dreams, where miracles become reality. Daydream Corporation. Daydream Corporation Employee Badge, Field Expedition Team. Kim Solium, Field Expeditionist. And a struggle for survival against death itself. The intercom echoed with a mournful toll. This station is Grief Station. At this very moment, Kim Solium stood in the middle of the train car and thought to himself, I have stepped into an urban legend. Welcome to the Abyss Transit Authority. Distant memories rushed back. The girl stood dazed before the cold, towering skyscrapers, thinking, a grueling commute home. Today, I feel strangely exhausted. Her weary feet dragged forward. The moment I get home, I must sleep. But I still have laundry to do. Her voice trailed off in exhaustion. After falling asleep like that, I woke up only to find myself inside a subway car. Clutching her bag tightly, she panicked. It looks just like a regular commute home. Where on earth am I? But something is terribly wrong. Strangely wrong. Kim Solium's gaze turned icy cold. It seems the company wants to weed out the new recruits using this urban legend. The intercom droned with a lifeless, drawn-out voice. The current station is Grief Station. Passengers whose final destination is Grief Station, please disembark following the broadcast instructions. The platform screen doors are now opening. The crowd peered out into the dense, milky fog. The doors will close in 30 seconds. There is no turning back. Grief Station? Did it say Grief Station? Innocent murmurs rippled through the crowd. It looks like just a normal subway station. Can't we just get off here? A cold sweat broke out on Kim Solium's face as it darkened, listening to the crowd's chatter. The announcement said the doors are closing. Shouldn't we hurry up and get off before they shut? Damn it. A man forced a loud laugh to reassure the others. Aside from the station's weird name, everything looks perfectly normal. Kim Solium gripped the edge of the door, desperately trying to hold them back. You had all better stay inside. He spoke in a chilling tone, dousing their spirits. You all just heard the announcement, Grief Station. Since when has there ever been a station like that in Korea? Sweating profusely, the brown-haired man questioned them with sheer cowardice. Yes, that might be true. But will you take responsibility if staying behind puts us at a disadvantage? I demand to know. Another youth timidly agreed. I think he has a point. We should observe the situation a bit longer. The piercing wail of a crimson siren blared. The doors are closing. Panic erupted. Hey, the doors are closing. Get off, hurry. The ruthless iron doors slammed shut, crushing a man who writhed in agonizing pain. The one left behind pressed his hands against the glass in despair, staring wide-eyed at the crowd outside, waving goodbye with smug grins. The man frantically pounded on the reinforced glass. We can't get off anymore. Oh, damn it. He shot a venomous glare at Kim Solium, muttering, damn it, this is all because of a certain someone. Kim Solium thought to himself indifferently. I understand. They probably just wanted to stop thinking and run away. The train carriage screen flashed with words dripping like fresh blood, bidding farewell to the fools. However, farewell. Outside, the crowd that had just disembarked murmured anxiously. Will those who stayed on the train be okay? Well, it was their own choice, so they'll have to fend for themselves. See, they should have gotten off when I told them to. Standing there hesitating like that, they'll surely be crying their eyes out soon enough. Just as the mockery left his lips, a glob of pitch-black liquid splattered violently from the ceiling onto his head. Don't you think so? His companion froze, the color completely draining from his face. Huh! A jet of crimson blood sprayed violently into the air. What on earth is this? The scene outside transformed into a living hell. The crowd trampled over one another to flee. From the ceiling, there's something on the ceiling. A frenzied rain of blood poured down, sowing death. Something is dripping from the ceiling. Somebody save me. Screams echoed without end. Through the window glass, Kim Solium's gaze remained cold and still, calmly witnessing the bloody carnage he had long anticipated. Kim Solium half closed his eyes under the crimson light, tense. Bright red blood splattered across the glass. That is the ultimate fate of those who make mistakes. And it marks the beginning of the probation period for the new recruits. Blood continued to drip. The train is now departing. The Daydream Corporation governs the darkness. And that darkness is none other than ghost stories. The employees of the Daydream Corporation are dispatched into these ghost stories to carry out their missions. Naturally, the probation period for the recruits also takes place right within these ghost stories. A voice crackled over the PA system. The train is departing from Sorrow Station. To ensure a comfortable journey to your destination, please listen carefully to the announcement. The panicked crowd shrieked. In this deadly survival game, what are we supposed to do now? Did someone actually just die? Kim Solium calmly thought to himself. Honestly, I am in a far more advantageous position than the other recruits, because I have already read every single archive regarding these ghost stories. Huh? Isn't that more than enough already? The novel's cover materialized. Perhaps that is what people would think. An otherworldly hunter, about how I accidentally joined a megacorporation in another world and became a legendary star employee. Possessing a body in my favorite universe. Wielding absolute information dominance. A classic, overpowered protagonist monopolizing every future opportunity and artifact. How splendid it would be if I could be like that. Kim Solium's face darkened. There is but a single problem. He clasped his hands tightly, trembling. A monumental problem. His inner voice shrieked in despair. I absolutely cannot stand terrifying things. Damn it, me having to face ghost stories, subways, and even a field expedition team. This is nothing short of relentless psychological torture. Yes, I am an utter coward. If it is just plain text, I am fine. Indeed, I love reading them. Yet, the moment it is visualized, I become a complete coward who cannot endure it at all. Even when browsing information pages, if there is a creepy background or BGM, I will adjust the settings to show only the text. I clicked, not interested, on every single ghost story on video sharing platforms just because of their thumbnails. Even when posting ghost stories myself, I never dared to include a single image. Solium bowed his head helplessly before the ghost. I am deeply sorry, but I am a coward, so I cannot bear to look at the visuals of any ghost story. Ghost, I am the ghost story that you wrote. Solium, I cannot make an exception, even among my friends. The group chat teased him. Is it true that Kim Solium rejected a date with a girl just because she wanted to watch a horror movie and he couldn't? Holy crap, Solium, your name literally means goosebumps, yet you can't even handle a horror movie? Want to die? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Recall the Field Expedition Team written on the online encyclopedia. Section 1 to 2, Field Expedition Team in edit mode. This is a massive faction appearing in the Chronicles of Dark Expedition, one of the 5 teams belonging to the development department of Dreamday Corporation. A tragic squad, also known as the Suicide Squad. I am doomed. A suffocating silence enveloped the 8 survivors, who cowered in sheer terror. The PA system crackled to life. The next station is Grudge Station. Grudge Station. The exit doors are on your right. Solium thought to himself, is it Grudge Station this time? Closing his eyes in resignation. Just kill me already. Suddenly, an eerie blue light flashed right before his hands. Solium snapped his eyes open in startle. A floating notebook glowed. Rank 1 in the Chronicles of Dark Expedition. Physical item gift box. Chronicles of Dark Expedition. A physical item box. Could it be that he was the only one who could see this? In the corner of the carriage, a few people were gently supporting a sobbing girl. Keep quiet and try to touch it without drawing attention. He lightly touched his finger to the notebook. The notebook flipped open at a dizzying speed, radiating a brilliant light. A circular object engraved with a golden cross tumbled out. A phone grip. This is undoubtedly a souvenir from the Chronicles of Dark Expedition. Stunned, he realized this was something he had once purchased. A countdown timer flashed. 15 hours, 38 minutes, and 9 seconds. The timer began to tick down rapidly. Hours, minutes, seconds. A sharp, piercing beep. The screen flickers with unstable static. A few hours ago, a circle of blood and ghastly handprints manifest. The explorers have ventured into the darkness. At the shopping mall, well, surprise, surprise, what a hassle. The Doomsday Prophet, The Shadow Expedition Chronicles. The Shadow Expedition Chronicles, an online horror world-building project centered on exploring bizarre phenomena known as the Shadow. And here stands a certain fan, utterly immersed in this world, filling his basket with rare and eccentric merchandise. Would you like to purchase a large eco-friendly bag to carry your items, sir? Solium. Yes, please, thank you. Whispering voices. Huh, is he a reseller? Or maybe a scalper? Solium pulled his cap down, flustered. I already said these are for my personal collection. I even took paid leave to get here, for crying out loud. Actually, I came here last week too. But as for the Lucky Wheel event, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. It was a matter of social dignity for a working adult. But with the store closing tomorrow, if I don't play now, I'll miss my chance forever. The clerk poked his head out, offering, The Lucky Wheel event ends today, sir. Would you care to give it a spin? Relieved, he replied, Yes, please. The clerk beamed. Thank you, sir. Right this way. Solium thought to himself, Thank goodness for this kind clerk saving my dignity. Well then, let the lucky wheel spin. The wheel began to whir. The clerk offered a bright grin. Every slot has a designated prize, so feel free to press the button and stop it whenever you like. Poised to press the button, Solium reassured himself. I'll probably just end up with the consolation prize anyway, but that's good enough. 7th prize is a notebook, right? I'll take that and head home. The wheel abruptly clicked to a halt, landing squarely on the dazzling first prize slot. Solium stared in utter disbelief. Ha! Congratulations! You have won the grand prize, First place. Presenting a sleek black box, the clerk announced, "Here is your first prize reward. The real-life item box." Solium gasped, "Are you for real? We also need to customize a personalized, one-of-a-kind souvenir for you. So may I have your name, please?" Solium stammered. "Oh, right." He mused inwardly. "A personalized souvenir? I am Kim Solium." The printer whirred, spitting out an ID card. "Create your very own Shadow Expedition profile character." "An employee ID card?" The clerk gasped in excitement. "Oh, it's the Daydream Corporation. They are one of the 3 most powerful factions in our Shadow Expedition Chronicles universe." Solium nodded, thinking to himself, "Of course I know them. A commercial enterprise built upon anomalous ghost stories. And among their ranks, the Field Expedition Team is a vanguard squad that could be utterly obliterated at any moment while investigating paranormal anomalies. Yet, because of that grim reality, it seems to attract the most formidable figures in the entire lore." The red-uniformed clerk offered a warm, eager smile. "I cannot wait to see what legendary feats Agent Kim Solium will achieve in the world of the Shadow Expedition Chronicles. Do you like it? Will you treasure it?" Solium forced a polite smile. "Yes, of course," while thinking in his heart, "I am absolutely going to bury this thing in the deepest, darkest corner of my room where I never have to look at it again." Suddenly, an eerie, sinister voice echoed, "Lies." A dark shadow bearing a burning crimson smile closed in upon him. Suddenly, a wave of dizziness washed over me. Before my eyes, everything plunged into darkness. And when I opened my eyes once more, I found myself in the lecture hall. A system information window materialized. "This phone cradle is the Cradle of Memories, a ranked D item from the Chronicles of the Shadow Expedition. When attached to a smartphone, it visually renders text fragments recalled by the user into clear, orderly pages." He thought to himself, "If that's the case." Swiftly, he pressed the cradle onto the back of his phone. The phone erupted with a radiant golden light, shining directly upon Solium's face. The screen displayed, "Welcome to the Abyssal Transit Authority, managed by the Daydream Corporation. Difficulty: extreme." Solium rejoiced. It worked. The dimly remembered logs of the Chronicles of the Shadow Expedition materialized on the phone screen, perfectly reconstructed. The spectral world of the Chronicles of the Shadow Expedition, which I had just entered, was a convergence of hundreds of ghostly tales, fueled by the creative desires of countless individuals. Recalling all of those haunting legends instantly was a nigh impossible task. And since one had to deduce survival methods on their own, finding the right answer for each peril was an immense challenge. Kim Solium's eyes narrowed with fierce resolve as he thought, "But if I have this?" He slid his finger across the screen, reading silently, "Identifier, Administrative Authority, Twilight Level Classification." What he desperately needed to find right now was... The phone screen flickered rapidly through ancient archives, finally bringing a prominent line into focus. Past escapes. Enveloped in silence, Kim Solium gripped the edges of the device. His gaze locked onto the dimly lit screen in a desperate search for a lifeline. The tension in his face melted away, replaced by absolute confidence. Clasping the phone fitted with the golden, cross-shaped cradle of memories, he murmured, "I see." A chilling broadcast echoed through the hazy carriage. "The next station is Grudge Station." Seated in the middle of the train car, Solium began plotting a safe escape route based on past survival records. Solium's eyes darkened with sudden dread as a fatal complication dawned on him. The problem is, 2 female recruits sat slumped on the benches, exhausted and desperate. One of them let out a weary sigh as she stared at her dead screen, lamenting, "There's no signal at all." In a corner of the carriage, 2 male recruits cowered, shivering with fear. One buried his face in his hands and whimpered, "Grudge Station. Is it a place of pure wrath and vengeance?" How to convince these panic-stricken companions to disembark at the correct, safe station? Glancing at the sealed doors of the carriage, he resolved, "I must find a way to get as many of us off this train together as possible." Was it a sense of noble duty, a desire to save countless souls? May the great Kim Solium deliver us. Long live the Field Expedition. Of course not. Solium wiped a bead of cold sweat from his brow, confessing to himself, "No, from a human standpoint, perhaps there is a fraction of that sentiment within me, but didn't I already tell you?" His face turning pale beneath the crimson glow, Solium confessed with a shudder, "I cannot possibly get off this train alone." He envisioned a nightmare scenario. A station swarming with hideous, slimy eyeballs, all glaring and unblinking. It would be utterly foolish to suddenly start babbling about paranormal phenomena or the encroaching dark to them now. Taking a decisive step forward, Solium carefully laid out his plan. "I must tread carefully, beginning first by earning the trust of those around me. Humans are highly susceptible to herd mentality. If I can successfully sway just 1 or 2, leading the rest will be effortless. Now let us see. Is there anyone here in need of aid? Or perhaps someone who holds a clue that might help me forge a connection?" Solium stiffened at the sound from behind, exclaiming in utter disbelief, "Huh? What the hell is this?" Frowning, he fixed his gaze upon the girl opposite him. This isn't even some ordinary ghost story you'd find on a video sharing site. Her hands trembling as she stared at her phone, the short-haired girl broke into a cold sweat, muttering in sheer terror, "I found her." A sudden, violent crash startled her, and she frantically cast her gaze around, searching for the source of the sound. Tilting his head as he sat in his seat, Solium asked with utmost gravity, "Did you just say a ghost story?" Startled, the girl shrank back, flustered as she explained, Well, I just happen to watch ghost stories online from time to time, and this whole thing just reminded me of them." Solium fell into contemplation before suggesting, "Could you share what you know? The current situation is highly abnormal." The girl hesitated, replying, "It's not really any valuable information. It's just that everything happening right now feels so much like a horror story." Unease clouded her eyes as she recalled the moments prior, like how the assembly hall suddenly transformed into a subway train. As bloody memories rushed back, her voice trembled. And those people, the way they perished. Her face went pale, faltering as she spoke the grim word, "died." She quickly clamped a hand over her mouth to stifle a wave of nausea, breaking into a cold sweat as she apologized, "I'm sorry." A sudden wave of terror just washed over me. Solium merely observed her in silence. Solium cast his eyes down, murmuring in weary empathy, "No, I feel the exact same way. These absurdities keep piling up, making it impossible to think straight." The two sat curled up in their red seats. Solium confessed gloomily, "I, too, am feeling utterly sick to my stomach." The girl offered a faint laugh to ease the tension. "Oh, come now. You look like the calmest person in this entire place." Solium averted his gaze, replying with a helpless, dry chuckle. "You only say that because you haven't seen me pass out in a spectacularly cool fashion." A towering figure suddenly blocked their path, radiating an invisible, oppressive pressure. Both looked up, instantly on guard, as a hesitant voice spoke, "Excuse me." A young man with brown hair and warm blue eyes scratched his head, offering a friendly, apologetic smile. "I've been wondering if I should ask you this, but you're the one who was sitting next to me earlier, aren't you?" Solium cast a scrutinizing glance at him. "Sitting next to you?" Instantly, memories of the assembly hall flooded his mind. In his memory, the brown-haired youth had leaned in close, whispering with curiosity, "Where did you get that?" Snapping back to reality, the brown-haired young man extended his hand, offering a formal introduction. Flashing a brilliant, polite smile, the young man introduced himself. "My name is Beksahian." Solium's eyes widened in sheer astonishment. Could this man really be Beksahian? He thought to himself. He is one of the company's most legendary, core employees. A screen displayed the profile page from the Daydream Company. Character, Beksahian. His final position was department head, with a total of 106 expeditions, 17 of which were special cases documented in this encyclopedia. His nickname is the Venomous Snake. Solium looked up at the man standing before him, harboring silent doubts. Is this person truly Beksahian? Wearing a bright smile, the young girl reached out her hand first.
"I'm Goyangeun."
She suggested they all introduce themselves despite the chaos. Solium looked at her, thinking, that is a name I have never heard before. He began to analyze the situation. If there is an employee whose real name I don't know, they either resolved their paranormal anomalies with relative ease and departed the company early, or they perished at a very early stage. Occasionally, there are core employees who only operate under an alias or codename, but in those instances, their distinct personality traits would be striking enough for me to recognize them instantly. Solium's hands gripped his knees so tightly they trembled, a silent curse echoing in his mind. Damn it all. Striving to regain his composure, Solium looked up and replied, "I am Kim Solium." The remaining cohort of recruits began splintering into small bands, scouring every corner of the carriage for clues. Young-un surveyed their surroundings before speaking in a low voice. "It seems they are trying to establish contact with the carriage ahead by some means." Solium gave a faint nod. So it seems. In his heart, he was certain of one thing. Their efforts will likely end in despair. For in this spectral anomaly, moving between the carriages is strictly forbidden. A cold voice rasped from the loudspeaker, shattering the silence. "The next stop is Rapture Station." Startled, the crowd murmured in bewilderment. "What?" Young-un muttered. "Rapture," before turning to Solium. "That word carries a rather positive connotation, doesn't it?" Solium hesitated. Perhaps. Though in his heart, he instantly rejected the notion. Deciding on a station to disembark cannot be done so simply. First of all, the thematic nature of the station names shifts with each manifestation of this anomaly, ranging from hues like yellow to organs like hearts or corneas. Thus, escaping is not as simple as merely searching for a word that seems to fit the correct station. However, we can discern the underlying laws. Welcome to the Abyssal Transit Authority. Section 3.2, Exploration Dossiers. Records up to number 56. The laws dictate that the station names are manifested in specific colors, such as red, yellow, or blue. 2 individuals successfully escaped during the trial at Azure Station. Other station names are denoted by bodily organs, such as the left arm, the cornea, or the heart. A prime example is Cochlea Station. Yet the ultimate outcome was a failed escape during the trial at Cochlea Station. Fresh blood stained the frigid floor crimson beside a mangled corpse. The station names can also be designated by years, such as 2008, 2012, or 2016. Lanterns inscribed with these temporal markers hovered silently above the recruits' heads. And then, the direst of scenarios unfolded as escape failed during the trial at Station 2026. A colossal iron container rolled lazily through a pool of the ill-fated victim's blood. Furthermore, station names have been known to bear the monikers of notorious serial killers. 12 souls successfully escaped during the trial at the station named after the unnamed killer. Resting his chin upon his hand, Solium pondered deeply. Even recalling all the cases up to the 56th, the positive nature of a station's name holds absolutely no correlation with the rate of survival. A recruit, filled with misplaced hope, gazed out at the pristine, magnificent platform of Enchantment Station, urging the others to disembark and seek aid. Cold sweat beaded on Solium's brow as he questioned, "Why is it so immaculately clean, like a station freshly constructed in a newborn city?" Within his mind, he screamed, "This cannot be real." Suddenly, a muscular arm shot out, barring the path to the exit. Solium's voice cut through the air. "Hold on a moment. Are you absolutely certain?" The crowd erupted in a flurry of anxious whispers. "Excuse me? Sure about what? Are you certain that it is safe out there?" Solium swept his gaze over the assembly, letting each word fall with heavy emphasis. "I believe most of us here can agree that our present ordeal resembles nothing less than a ghost story." Solium pressed his argument further. "Whether it be a tale of the supernatural or a horror flick, have any of you ever seen a happy ending for those who make decisions blindly, relying solely on whim and fortune, without a shred of reason or logic?" 2 recruits listened on in tense, breathless silence. Solium's tone turned grave. "Do you truly wish to gamble your very lives so recklessly?" An agitated murmur rippled through the crowd. A woman shrieked in anger. "Do you actually possess some brilliant deduction, or are you just spouting nonsense to bar our way? Do you think this is some twisted game show? Has someone given you a clue?" Solium replied with unwavering resolve. Indeed, there was a clue. He raised a single finger high, capturing the undivided attention of the entire carriage. His voice rang out, clear and resonant. "I am speaking of the broadcast announcement." The crowd's eyes widened in unison, overtaken by a wave of sheer confusion. From the very beginning, the broadcast echoing through this train has already laid bare the truth. A cold, mechanical voice echoed through the train carriage from the intercom. "Dear passengers, thank you for choosing the Abyss Transit Authority today. Our train will not make any stops. To ensure a safe and smooth journey to your final destination, please listen carefully to the upcoming announcements." Standing in pensive silence amidst the quiet carriage, Solium pondered. From the very beginning, they made it clear that we must pay close attention and follow the instructions. The voice from the speaker droned on, delivering further instructions. Passengers whose final destination is Jubilant Station should disembark in accordance with the announcement. Solium turned directly to the bewildered recruits and asked in a resounding voice, "Is there anyone here whose final destination is Jubilant Station?" One of them stammered, trying to reassure himself. Living a happy life full of joy is everyone's ultimate goal, so getting off at this station must be a good thing. Solium's cold retort instantly choked the words in the man's throat. "Is your final destination truly Jubilant Station?" A girl flared up instantly, pointing directly at Solium's face as she barked. "You are meddling too much. If they can't escape because of you, will you bear the responsibility?" Facing her wrath, Solium maintained a calm countenance and declared resolutely, "I will take responsibility for this myself." Amidst the suffocating tension, the system announced, "The platform screen doors are closing." Turning his back to leave, Solium thought to himself, "Regardless, I have already resolved to escape with them. My efforts to stop them end here." He breathed a soft sigh of relief, glad that no one was blaming him anymore. But a sudden, ominous dread washed over him, jolting him with terror. Piercing screams echoed from outside. Solium's eyes widened in sheer horror. The people in the front carriages have already crowded and rushed down onto the platform. The girl asked tremulously, Will they be all right?" Solium could only stare out the window in grim silence, thinking, "I truly do not want to face this cruel reality at all." The platform outside was bathed in a radiant golden light, yet it was profoundly eerie. A recruit who had just stepped off froze instantly as he felt something unnatural beneath his feet. Agonizing shrieks rent the air as the sticky golden liquid on the ground began to assimilate everyone. Total panic gripped those around them as their bodies began to melt into a shimmering golden fluid. They wept and screamed desperately, begging for salvation. The desperate cries for help faded away as their completely liquefied bodies collapsed into the deadly solution. The scene outside fell into a spine-chilling silence, as dissolving limbs vanished entirely into the golden flow. The face of an ill-fated soul, eyes wide with terror, sank completely into the ground, bringing a gruesome end to the tragic horror. The electronic display board flashed a soulless message. The train is now departing from Jubilant Station. Through the dark, misty glass window, the recruits' faces were pale with absolute dread, while Solium stood behind them, brooding in deep apprehension. A trembling voice piped up. "You said you would take responsibility. Can you guarantee that we will find a safe place, right?" Solium answered resolutely, "Yes, I can." Solium gritted his teeth, his legs trembling violently as he cursed inwardly. I have no idea how the logic suddenly leaped to me having to give the correct answer. Inside, I just want to drop dead right now. Suddenly, a voice offered praise. "You're really amazing." Startled, he blurted out, "Huh? Why ask that all of a sudden, brother?" Sahian scratched his head with a broad, friendly grin. In this day and age, it's rare to find someone as responsible as Kim Solium. While hoping his reassurance would yield a favorable outcome, he probed, "Brother Sahian, is there any station you want to get off at?" Sahian shook his head slightly. "Not really. I don't know much about these things." Solium analyzed in silence. The fact that Sahian is acting as an employee means he must have passed this entrance exam. Yet why hasn't he shown any special perception? For now, I should just observe his behavior. The intercom blared a warning. The train is approaching a curved track, which will cause noise and severe jolts. Passengers are advised to take their seats. Solium immediately urged the group to sit down quickly. A blood-curdling shriek rang out. "Oh no! The carriage ahead!" Through the glass panes, the group watched in sheer horror as a violent scuffle erupted in the next carriage, punctuated by bitter recriminations. The announcement told everyone to sit down. Someone hesitantly asked if they should warn the next carriage, while others screamed, urging everyone to sit down. Solium merely closed his eyes in helpless resignation, whispering, "It is already too late. The train is officially entering the treacherous curve." A crimson light enveloped them, and the agonizing screams of those left standing echoed as the train made a sharp, violent turn, spraying fresh blood that painted the glass windows red. The broadcast system droned coldly. "Passengers may now safely stand up from their seats, and we thank you for your cooperation." Absolute chaos gripped the carriage. A girl clutched her head, weeping hysterically because everything happened exactly as announced. The panicked crowd clamored to get out, while others called for their mothers in vain. Sweating profusely, Solium thought to himself, "This proves the announcements are indeed lifelines. Though everything unfolding favors his survival, it is far too horrific. For now, he must focus solely on convincing the crowd." The speaker of the Transit Bureau blared once more, causing a terrified man to leap to his feet with a desperate cry, surrounded by the sound of muffled, choked sobbing. The eerie announcement declared, "A lost item has been reported." The broadcast continued its demand. Anyone who has recovered the lost item should disembark at the next station and hand over the item to the station staff. Solium instantly recognized this as one of the escape methods he had read about. As long as you possess the announced lost item, you can escape to safety. The lost item is something highly unusual. Solium's gaze sharpened as he caught every booming word from the speaker. The lost item is a person in their 20s, an adult male of blood type A and a left eyeball. The monotonous voice repeated. The lost item is the left eyeball of an adult male in his 20s with blood type A. Anyone who has found the lost item should disembark at the next station and hand it over to the station staff. Solium's eyes widened, cold sweat breaking out as he realized. This is one of the alternative escape records he has been searching for. The contents of the document flashed through his mind. An unconditional escape ticket. Shadow Exploration Records. Search. Shadow Exploration Records, Ghost Stories. Welcome to the Abyss Transit Bureau. Section 3.4. Alternative Escape Records. A document detailing the survival of anomalies, those who successfully escaped through means other than simply disembarking at the station. Several methods have been observed repeatedly. The most frequent records involve temporary train stops for interval adjustments and lost item announcements. If you disembark with the broadcasted lost item in your possession, you can escape the station. However, only one person can escape. The entire carriage erupted in bewildered panic. What did the broadcast just say? Was it an adult male in his 20s, and the left eyeball of an adult male with blood type A? Type A must be referring to blood type, right? He sighed, torn. I wonder if I should just let this go. After all, everyone can survive if we disembark at the correct station. If someone tries to escape ahead of everyone else, the atmosphere might grow hostile and spark internal conflict. Sweating profusely, the rookie with slicked back hair suggested, "We should identify that person first." Those nearby muttered in agreement, terrified of whatever horror might strike next. Everyone frantically checked each other. A middle-aged man said, "I'm in my 30s," but another replied, "You look younger than your age." Someone else hastily denied, "I'm blood type B, so I don't fit the criteria." The slicked-back-haired man turned a scrutinizing gaze on Solium. "Solium, what about you?" He lied effortlessly without blinking an eye. "I'm blood type AB." He kept his secret guarded. He was actually blood type A, but since he intended to let this opportunity pass, there was no need to reveal himself as the target. But suddenly a hand shot up. The slicked-back-haired man suddenly raised his hand high, shouting. He himself completely matched those criteria. He was indeed the male with blood type A in his 20s. The self-confessed man stood frozen, cold sweat trickling down his cheek as he realized every eye in the carriage was locked onto him. The intercom interrupted. "This station is Wrath Station. The exit is on the right." Under the crimson glow, Sahian's lips curled into a knowing, subtle smirk. The Type A man whipped around in startlement as the sound of heavy footsteps approached him from the shadows. Sahian stepped close, his signature menacing smile playing on his lips as he leaned in to inquire. "Is it true that he just said he was blood type A?" The victim nodded, trembling. An emotionless voice chimed. "This station is Wrath Station. The platform screen doors are now opening." Under the cruel, crimson glow, Sahian's eyes narrowed into sharp slits, masking a murderous intent. Holding his phone aloft, a cold, mocking sneer curled his lips. "What a pity!" A decisive, brutal thrust plunged straight into the victim's eye, spraying a sudden arc of fresh crimson that painted the air. The crowd froze in sheer terror, their faces turning deathly pale at the bloody violence that had unfolded in a mere flash. Having obtained what he needed, Sahian ruthlessly kicked the man away. The victim collapsed backward, clutching his gory eye socket as he writhed in helpless agony. Panicking, the crowd shrank back, shouting in protest at the assailant. "Suddenly gouging someone's eye out. Are you insane? What on earth are you doing?" Sahian turned back, his blood-drenched hand gripping the phone as a sinister smile spread across his face. "They said we could escape if we surrendered an eye. Why are you all standing there looking like absolute fools?" The two rookies put the pieces together in sheer disbelief. "They said we could disembark if we handed over the lost item." The broadcast echoed in their memories. "Whosoever finds the lost item, please disembark at the next station and hand it over to the station staff." Sahian's gaze swept over the cowardly crowd with biting disdain. "Indeed, I suppose I shouldn't expect too much from parasites who demand others take responsibility for their lives." Young-un pointed a trembling finger at the man's retreating back. "That monster!" While Solium stood beside her, watching with grim intensity. A realization struck Solium as he recognized the madman's true identity. He truly lives up to his moniker, the venomous viper, Sahian. Recalling the boy's falsely innocent smile from earlier, Solium thought bitterly. "And here I thought he behaved that way because he was a naive newcomer, unstained by this harsh world. But Sahian, just as described in the chronicles of the Dark Expedition, certainly possesses that dark aura." The train doors began to slide shut. Watching Sahian casually waving goodbye from the platform of Wrath Station, Solium analyzed. He offered up his own left eye, which matched the description of the lost item, and destroyed his target's remaining eye because only one item would be accepted. Wrath Station. The platform screen doors are closing. There was indeed a hint in the announcement, but that was an incredibly reckless gamble. He frowned. The thing is, he didn't have to go that far. Solium immediately bent down, his fingers searching along the gap of the ventilation grate. "I am certain I saw something near here just moments ago. First of all, the lost item is something that doesn't belong to me." Solium carefully retrieved a small glass vial, but rather, something that someone else has lost. The label clearly states it belongs to a 27-year-old woman with type A blood. He pondered the cruel rules. In truth, this lost and found announcement is a macabre scavenger hunt. You must search the train for an item matching the broadcast description, then disembark carrying that exact match. Well, there are instances where someone might accidentally escape by surrendering something they already possessed, but, gazing out the window, a sharp pang of unease tightened in his chest. There is no ground to condemn him for finding his own path to salvation, but this goes too far. He lightly tapped on the glass pane, catching Sahian's attention. Silently, he raised the glass vial, showing the pale pink liquid swishing around a spherical object inside. Suspended within the vial was a bloodshot human eye, a grotesque testament to the price of freedom. Sahian's eyes widened in stunned disbelief as they locked onto the object in Solium's hand. An eye! Just then, the PA system crackled to life. "Passengers who have disembarked, please wait a moment." The system monitors flashed a menacing red. "A station staff member will arrive shortly to assist you." A blood-curdling shriek rent the night air. Upon the desolate platform, Sahian was besieged by colossal, razor-sharp needles slowly descending. A colossal needle plunged deep into his trembling eye. The PA system crackled to life, dripping with irony. Thank you for your cooperation. Simultaneously, a barrage of needles pierced Solium's eyes, causing him excruciating pain. The lost item has been safely handed over to the station staff. Inside the train car, can you hear it? No one feels sorry for Baek Sahyun. Young-un spoke up. It looks almost certain that his cornea has been damaged. I'm so worried about him. Are you a medical professional? She hurriedly waved her hands. No, I only studied that major in college. I switched majors midway, so I haven't even taken the national exam. I'm just a fraud. Getting into medical school is already impressive enough. The monotonous voice from the loudspeaker announced that the train had arrived at Resentment Station. Instantly, countless expectant gazes locked onto Solium. Are they watching to see if I will tell them to get off here? At this rate, I wouldn't be surprised if they left the decision of which station to disembark at entirely up to me. Young-un forced a smile and murmured, this is a bit pressuring, isn't it? Huh. Bowing her head in guilt, Young-un confessed. It makes me feel so uneasy that everyone keeps trying to rely on you, she added wistfully. Though I am grateful for their trust, I know they only do so because they are terrified and anxious. I blame myself. I am the most panicked of all, yet I went ahead and instigated everyone else. Young-un sighed, regaining her composure. I also tried to think about it on my own. Solium gently asked back, and what did you think? Young-un hesitantly offered a hypothesis, the final destination you mentioned earlier. If it truly is the final destination of a human life, could it perhaps be death? Solium fell into a brief silence upon hearing her explanation. Because the end of life is, indeed, death. Flustered, Young-un clasped her hands tightly and confessed. I wondered if we should get off the train if a word similar to death appeared, but then I feared it would sound like I was telling everyone to die, so I didn't dare speak it aloud. That is a fairly convincing theory. Young-un shyly scratched her head. Is it really? Solium replied cryptically. However, from the very beginning, there is another key point we must consider. He smiled faintly with hidden meaning, his gaze softening as if he had just grasped a vital thread of survival. Half closing his eyes, he gently posed a counter-question. In the end, what is the true destination? The electronic board flickered. Next station is P station. Doors open on the right. Solium calmly analyzed. If you look it up in the dictionary, a purpose or a destination means the goal we wish to achieve or the direction we are aiming for. Gazing up at the cold ceiling of the train, he thought to himself, the theme of this train itself is highly intuitive. From demanding we take our seats to finding lost items, safety is guaranteed as long as we act exactly as instructed. Brutal images of the melted victims rushed back to him. Even those who got off at the wrong station had to pay for their mistakes in a horrific, visible manner. So, what is the true meaning of the destination? A blinding light from the end of the tunnel shone straight ahead. He wondered, the destination this train is speaking of, could it not mean a milestone that I have yet to reach? In other words, it is precisely what he himself still lacked. It is a place where those who do not carry any green items will face danger. At the station named after a serial killer, almost everyone successfully escaped because none of them were actually killers. Solium's sharp eyes connected the dots. If we think along these lines, the criteria for choosing which station to get off at becomes far simpler. The theme of these stations is inherently emotional, so the key must be something else. An emotion that he himself currently lacked. The lifeless announcement droned on. Next station is Tranquility Station. The weary rookies helped each other slump onto the floor, exhausted and consumed by anxiety. Solium stepped forward with absolute resolve, startling Young-un. This is our station. A confident smile graced his face. We are getting off here. What, exactly, is the emotion that I am currently lacking? Everyone experiences emotions as they journey through life. Despite individual differences, most live to feel joy, anger, love, and sorrow. To seek an emotion that none of us possess is no easy feat yet, if there were an exception. Solium raised his head in quiet contemplation, meticulously calculating his final wager. The electronic display flashed incessantly, signaling the hour of reckoning. Next station. Taibin. Doors open on your right. Doors open on your right. Taibin. Its literal definition is a state of mind free of anxiety and sorrow. Yet, so long as we are human, not a single soul can escape those worries and griefs, particularly in a dire situation such as this. Solium reached out, taking hold of the recruit who writhed in agony from a gruesome eye wound. Supporting him with gentle care, Solium murmured, I've got you. The young man gasped in gratitude. Ah, thank you, Solium. Bearing the weight of their lives on his shoulders, he thought to himself, ever since I took the lead, they have followed. There is no turning back now. The station sign for Taibin emerged, drenched in splatters of fresh blood. If we can all escape together like this. The entire group stood frozen, the blood draining from their faces at the grotesque spectacle waiting outside. Panic seized the crowd before the towering wall of blood. A sea of blood? Is this truly the right answer? Of all the places, why must it be here? Inside, Solium's mind screamed. How do I convince them to get off here? No, even I don't want to. Someone, please, convince me. Suddenly, a hand brushed lightly against his. Pardon me. Young-un bravely raised her hand, her voice piercing the heavy silence. I believe stepping off here is the right thing to do. She enunciated every word with clarity. You are the only one among us who seems certain. Even when everyone else is paralyzed by fear, you remain absolutely calm. Solium recoiled, questioning himself. Was I truly like that? She pressed on. There are those who threw fits just to save their own skin, but not you, Kim Solium. In any case, if we must follow someone's lead, I would far rather follow a good man. Decisive footsteps slammed onto the blood-soaked platform of Tai Bin Station. The life and death choice had been made. The sharp click of her heels echoed against the crimson-stained tiles. She marched down with unwavering resolve. Immediately, she bolted, shouting toward the other train cars. This is the correct answer. While urging the survivors, get off the train this way. Cold sweat beaded on Solium's brow as tension gripped him in silence. Beside him, the one-eyed man hesitantly called out his name. Though blood poured from his hollow socket, a sincere smile broke across his face. I, too, believe in you, he urged. Do not hesitate on my account. Let us go. Solium gave a quiet nod, marveling internally. Just moments ago, he was too terrified to even step off the train. Yet now, he stands so unyielding. A razor-sharp glint flashed in Solium's eyes. Muttering his assent, he took his next step forward. Leading the remnants of the survivors toward the escape route, he barked a reassuring command. We will all be safe if we descend here together. Just focus on the sensation of moving upward. Hurried footsteps pounded against the blood-drenched stairs, an imperative command echoing in their minds. Focus on the sensation of ascending. The fractured stone staircase led straight into a sealed wall, heavily plastered with eerie, withered yellow talismans. A decayed directory sign hung limply beneath the flickering, dying light. A blinding white light tore through the shroud of deadly mist. A thunderous burst of applause erupted alongside a booming voice. Congratulations, new recruits. Solium jolted as he was abruptly teleported back to the beginning. Solium gasped for breath, drenched in a cold sweat as the shocking realization that he had returned to reality hit him. Instantly, he swept his gaze around. 1, 2, 3, 4. Solium's eyes darted frantically, counting to the frantic pounding of his heart. 5, 6, 7. We all survived. 8 battered, exhausted souls collapsed heavily onto the waiting room bench. The suited host burst into booming laughter, roaring into his microphone with wild excitement. 22 recruits have completed their probation. This is truly an unprecedented record for the corporation. Under the blinding glare of the stage lights, the host declared grandly. Unless there was an error in the difficulty adjustment, they all belong to the elite class. He even wondered what the Human Resources Department would make of this. The tension in the air hung thick as Solium watched in silence. The host shattered the quiet. Perhaps we should crown the most outstanding among them?
Congratulations, Kim Solium.
A spotlight suddenly cut through the dark, beaming directly onto Solium. Seeing him bolt to his feet, the host lauded. With such keen situational awareness, you would have flourished in their department as well. What a pity. Meanwhile, Solium hung his head, asking himself in utter despair. Has everything been destroyed? Is this truly happening? The host announced with fervor. A gift from the company. Not just for our top recruit, but everyone else shall receive a token as well. Solium accepted the gift bag with a polite bow, but thought with bitter irony. There is absolutely nothing to rejoice about in this. His hands grasped the bag. The host's voice whispered directly into his ear. Take a close look inside. Solium's eyes widened in sheer shock. What? But the host no longer spared him a second thought, shouting, Next up is Bek Sahian. The host's voice rang out shrilly. Now, next up we have, clutching his gift bag tightly, a man with a ruined eye wore a distorted, lifeless smile that sent a shiver down the spine. Glancing at the crowd, Solium thought with rising dread. Could these people have been trapped in ghost stories for ages? The flow of time on each train is completely different. He quickly averted his gaze at the sight of Sahian clutching his bleeding eye socket, whispering to himself in reassurance. Once this is over, he will surely seek medical aid on his own. The host beamed, asking, Now then, everyone has received their gifts, correct? With that, all of you have been officially recruited into the field expedition team of the Daydream Corporation. The credits began to roll as if signaling a happy ending, when suddenly, a blood-curdling scream begging for a halt tore the piece to shreds. A bitter, resentful snarl echoed. After all, it's not like every recruit put in the same effort. No. There are always those worthless freeloaders who just ride on others' coattails. The host's face contorted into a horrific visage, splitting into a grin that stretched from ear to ear as he roared. Fairness is paramount. Therefore, we shall root out and seize every single parasite. The moment the words left his mouth, a multitude of people began to melt into a horrific, viscous ooze. Solium stared in wide-eyed, paralyzed horror, cold sweat pouring down his face as he witnessed this spine-chilling spectacle. In the middle of the cavernous room, the MC offered a jubilant welcome. The 13 surviving recruits, as Young Un clasped a trembling hand over her mouth in sheer horror, on their outstanding achievements. The MC's soulless voice congratulated them on attaining their official positions. A trembling recruit waved his hand to interrupt. I quit, and I want to resign immediately. Before suddenly freezing in bewilderment. Feigning regret, the MC wondered why anyone would want to resign right after landing such a wonderful job, and advised him that one should hear about the welfare benefits before making a decision. Young Un shrieked, if I listen to the benefits, can I still resign safely? To which the MC calmly assured her she could resign without any worries. Leaning close to the microphone, the MC's smile stretched from ear to ear, laden with hidden meaning. Of course, they might change their minds after hearing about the corporation's welfare benefits. Solium narrowed his eyes in vigilance, muttering, the threatening whips have all vanished now, giving way to a new trick of enticement. Preparing to introduce the most prominent welfare benefits of the Daydream Corporation. The reward is coming. A glass vial sparkling with stardust materialized, the legendary wish voucher. The MC loudly boasted. The company is famous for being an immensely successful pharmaceutical conglomerate, having even developed a cure for hair loss to prove their cutting-edge technology. He snapped his fingers with a sharp click, emphasizing, yet, the corporation's flagship product is something entirely different. A medicine that grants any wish, known as the wish voucher. Stepping up to the display table, he announced he would demonstrate because today happens to be the day he collects the wish vouchers. With a deft hand, he popped open the bottle, and an enchanting light instantly spilled out, rich and heavy. The recruits whispered in skepticism, wondering if the wish voucher was real or just a scam, and curious about what the host's wish could be. The MC's hair suddenly turned a silky purple, and his wrinkles vanished in the blink of an eye. Transformed into a dashing young man, he flung his arms wide and cheered wildly, showcasing the miraculous power of the wish voucher. The recruits stood jaw-dropped and frozen at the sight of turning back time to miraculously restore youth in such a way. Your department, the Field Exploration Team, has always received outstanding performance evaluations. Therefore, compared to other teams, you will be able to obtain the wish voucher at twice the speed. In fact, the 10 fastest recipients of the wish voucher all came from the Field Exploration Team. In other words, as members of the Field Exploration Team, all of you are in a more advantageous position than anyone else to obtain the wish voucher. It's all just wordplay. The number of casualties will vastly outnumber those who actually receive it. Solium's gaze was ice cold, filled with skepticism as he thought. But even so, it is not a scam. He told himself, we all just saw it clearly. There are definitely people who have received the wish voucher. The room plunged into a suffocating silence, heavy with unease. Amidst that silence, a hand slowly rose. A figure, whether man or woman, with long and haggard hair, raised their voice to ask, can the wish voucher resurrect the dead? He bit his lip hard, his eyes welling with tears as he waited, as if clinging to a final lifeline. The young MC beamed, his tone shifting to one of dramatic intensity. Usually, in stories like this, there is a predetermined answer, that it is simply impossible. Or so you might have expected me to say, he roared in wild ecstasy. The wish ticket grants any and all desires of its wielder. The entire crowd was struck speechless. The doors behind him burst open in a blinding flash of light. Now, are you ready to make your decision? Those who wish to resign may depart this instant. But for those who choose to stay, as you have been officially hired, please put on the mask found inside your shopping bag. Solium cast his eyes down at the black paper bag by his feet. A mask! Stooping to reach into the bag, he thought. To think the day would come when I would receive such a thing. Along with the mask, a business card slipped out, bearing the words if needed alongside a phone number. Solium picked it up, examining it closely. A business card? Is this what the presenter told us to inspect carefully earlier? I'll look into it later. Turning the pitch-black mask over in his hands, he murmured inwardly. And here is the mask itself. Memories rushed back. Field expedition agents must wear masks during their operations, and these masks are supposedly distributed after the orientation for new recruits. The motif of the mask is determined by the year of entry. An agent wearing an ant mask and an agent wearing a praying mantis mask most likely belong to the same induction class. The official insignia of the Daydream Corporation's Field Expedition Team. Solium grinned and waved, calling out, goodbye, everyone. Yet inside his mind, he shrieked, honestly, I just want to quit this job and run as far away as possible. Gazing at the city blanketed in dense black smoke outside, he thought bitterly. But this place is plagued by shadow anomalies scattered throughout daily life. This is a world where a coward like me stands absolutely no chance of survival. Deluding himself with thoughts of the purple potion's power, he vowed to himself, if resigning merely means dying like some nameless extra in a ghost story, then I had better find a way to escape this world entirely. In a dark corner, Sahian clutched his mangled eye socket, gritting his teeth in fury as he forced a twisted smile. Young-eun clutched the box to her chest, her eyes wide with profound anxiety for what was to come. Holding the mask in his hand, Solium clicked his tongue. Even after witnessing such a spectacle, not a single soul has run away. As he donned the mask, he mused, when a recruit puts on their mask, its form alters, a process known as personalization. It transforms into a unique shape that aligns with the wearer's personality. I wonder what my mask will look like. The finished, jet-black deer antler mask wrapped perfectly around half of his face, radiating a chilling, murderous aura. Youngyan's eyes widened in surprise. He was bewildered. Deer antlers? What on earth is this shape? A deer? I wonder if it's the same as everyone else's. Young-eun was thrilled with a goat mask sporting curling horns, leaving him dazed. A goat! The glowing electronic display flashed in congratulation. Once again, congratulations on joining the company. Employment confirmed. With this, your probationary period has concluded. And just like that, my employment was confirmed. An illusory notebook manifested with a shimmer, unlocking access to a new item from the reality item box of the Shadow Expedition logs. Solium glanced sideways in surprise. A new item unlocked? Successfully confirmed authorization to use the newly unlocked item. He calculated, if I check it here, I'll draw attention. I'd better look at it later once I get home. Wait, home. The massive screen flickered, displaying the section labeled Other Benefits. Solium froze. Wait. He asked himself in bitter disbelief. Could a wretch like me truly possess a home in a hellhole such as this? Catching sight of him, Young-eun waved with a bright smile. Hello, Solium. Solium offered a polite nod, pressing the elevator button as he did. Hello. Pulling her suitcase closer, she asked with curiosity. Did you apply for the company housing support too? I did, he replied softly. Suddenly, his phone flashed with a crimson warning. Invalid address. Staring blankly at the screen, a chilling reality washed over him. My college years were my final records. Even my family's contact information has been thoroughly erased. A cold sweat broke out as he pieced together the madness that had begun to entangle his life. Reassuring himself, he muttered, regardless, this is company housing support. I ought to take full advantage of it, shouldn't I? And thus, I secured the company's housing support with surprising ease. Recalling the host's honeyed words about the magnificent estate near the station, he let out a dry smirk. After forcing everyone into a game of life and death, who else but you would ever dare to move in? Young-eun chattered excitedly. 7 out of the 13 new recruits received housing support. He gasped in disbelief. More than half. She sighed, clicking her tongue. It is a bit eerie, but it's hard to turn down free lodging near the subway station. He agreed with a grim nod. Indeed, in this world, nothing is more terrifying than poverty. The corporate housing complex itself was remarkably pristine. The elevator chimed, signaling their arrival at the 12th floor. Looking at the spotless, brand-new corridor adjacent to the station, he thought with bitter irony, they surely want to keep their employees close, the better to bleed them dry of labor, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He mused, however, should a new complication arise now, the door to the apartment slowly swung open. Standing before him was his new roommate, a thick layer of gauze bound tightly over his left eye. And there he stood, my new roommate. It was none other than that detestable viper, Sahian. A suffocating silence descended upon the room as the two bitter adversaries locked eyes. Sahian, it seems the company has already seen to your eye, then. He told himself, just because we share a room does not mean I must associate with him. First, to my own quarters. But the viper's voice cut through the air behind him. Hey! He stopped in his tracks. Hey! Glancing back over his shoulder, his eyes narrowed with lethal vigilance. Flinching under that murderous gaze, Sahian recoiled, his face hardening beneath the bandages on his left eye. He cursed inwardly, what a complete lunatic. Is watching someone's eye get gouged out really that amusing to him? He remained silent, his lips pressed into a thin, grim line that radiated a suffocating pressure. Suddenly, he took a slow, deliberate step toward where the man sat. The sharp click of his heels came to a halt right beside him, bearing down with an invisible, crushing weight. In a voice colder than ice, he let the words fall. Indeed, I found it thoroughly entertaining. What was it? Is this what they call a dopamine rush? Thanks to you, I had quite a splendid time. My gratitude. It would be simply marvelous if we were to work together, for then I would get to witness such magnificent spectacles once more. It has been a long time since I last witnessed such an entertaining performance. He slapped the man's shoulder hard, his gesture dripping with biting irony. I shall look forward to hearing much more good news from you, so that my office life might become far more interesting. With those words, he turned on his heel and walked away, leaving the venomous serpent standing frozen in utter bewilderment. Stepping into his room, a smug satisfaction welled up within him. That should do. This ought to be enough to make me look like a complete madman. Recalling his years of placating difficult clients, according to the classification of troublesome entities compiled over years of dealing with customers, there is a specific term for someone like Sahian, demanding a design that is both vibrant yet simple, modern yet classic, and demanding urgent revisions overnight. Otherwise known as a cosmic tier nuisance. This type of person arbitrarily rewrites their memories to remember things in whatever way they please. Void of self-respect and conscience, they are entirely immune to reason, yet they absorb information with terrifying speed. They view every situation solely through the lens of their own desires, stubbornly insisting they are right. With such a type, the best course of action is to strike first with an overwhelming preemptive blow. Regarding their prospective partnership, he calculated, claiming I wanted to work together was, of course, a blatant lie. Nothing more than killing two birds with one stone through a sheer bluff. After all, the chances of recruits being assigned to work together are infinitesimally small, given that each is dispatched to a different sector. Closing the door to bring a brutal, exhausting day to an end, he thought, I only need to deceive him enough to ensure I don't get stabbed in my sleep. Standing in the center of the brand new dormitory, he scanned the room, assessing its sleek, modern orderliness. Complimentary company housing, fully furnished with pristine decor that looks brand new. Reading the brochure for an absurdly cheap premium cleaning service. Weekly cleaning service, a mere 100,000 won a month, inclusive of floor polishing, bathroom sanitation, linen replacement, recycling disposal, and organization. A welcome package sat upon the table. Assortments of snacks, stationery, and a document box labeled, Building 101, completed. Overwhelmed by such meticulous hospitality, he marveled. This is truly an unbelievable level of welfare. A poster featuring an orange fox clutching a fresh carrot proclaimed, Our boss has lost his mind. The insane welfare of Daydream Company. Standing amidst the glittering array of gifts, suspicion crept in. Since we are recruits deemed highly capable of labor, they likely want to minimize any chance of us deserting. And there is even a journal here. A black notebook, embossed with the company logo, rested silently upon the wooden desk. He wondered, why is it dated from last year? But upon opening it, he froze in sheer horror at the jagged, blood-red scrawl. Run away. He snapped the journal shut, forcing a strained laugh to reassure himself against the chilling warning. He scoffed at his own belatedness. Senior, I deeply appreciate your spine-chilling, life-saving advice, but for me, it is already far too late. Collapsing onto the bed in sheer exhaustion, he muttered, Right, now, I must focus on what truly matters. Staring at the floating system window waiting in the air, he pondered, Since I am all alone, should I give it a look? Reaching out to open the journal, the sound of rustling pages echoed through the silent room. Illusory pages began to flutter, flipping at a dizzying, terrifying speed. A sheet of golden stickers fluttered down to the floor, its packaging emblazoned with a cheerful, smiley face. He gasped, What on earth is this? The system detailed the affection-manipulating smiley item. When applied to a sentient life form, it fosters a mild sense of goodwill toward the user. Restriction. Regular employee rank or higher. Inspecting the cheap, novelty-like item, he muttered, This hastily made sticker is literally a tool designed to manipulate someone's goodwill. It was commonly known as a bribery item, and due to its overwhelmingly overpowered nature, it was completely expunged from the system. Recalling the fierce forum wars on the wiki demanding this item's deletion, he slipped it into his pocket. This must be the last remaining sticker in existence. It seems collaboration between squads has grown far too effortless since the emergence of this artifact, forcing administration to contemplate a nerf or raising the rank requirement. It must have unlocked now that I have officially joined as a full-time employee. Gazing at the levitating tome, he pondered, Will the system bestow a new artifact upon me with every promotion or department transfer? Judging by its appearance, it seems destined to aid my survival in the trials to come. Clutching his head in sheer helplessness against this eerie reality, he muttered, They should never have dragged me into this world to begin with. Even this tome itself feels like a grim ghost story. Suddenly, the pages began to flip violently on their own. A glass vase of white blossoms shimmered beneath the cold, pale moonlight. Shadows devoured the room, heavy with a sinister omen. Slipping into his sleepwear and climbing into bed, he let out a long, weary sigh. I suppose my work begins next week. He closed his eyes, desperately coaxing sleep. Yet, too many madness-inducing events had transpired, leaving his mind in utter turmoil. Indeed, far too many horrific things have occurred. And so, he lay awake through the endless night, unable to find rest. At the Daydream headquarters, looming grandly in the morning sun. Young-un cast a worried glance at her companion. Solium, are you all right? Noting his hollow, haggard face and dark, panda-like circles beneath his eyes, she asked with deep concern, could you not sleep? He forced a hollow smile to mask his exhaustion. Just a touch of insomnia, but I'm fine. In truth, he had been tormented throughout the entire weekend. His companion could only offer a sympathetic sigh. Upon reaching the 10th floor, Young-un waved encouragingly. Let us do our best, Solium. Indeed, you too, he replied. The field exploration sector spanned from the 10th to the 15th floor. Stepping out of the elevator, he set off to find his designated workspace. The number 13 glared ominously from the wall. A shiver ran down his spine. Somehow, even this simple digit casts a dark, foreboding shadow over my future. Checking his phone, he confirmed his assignment to Squad D, while Venomous Snake had been placed in Squad F. With a racing heart, he pressed the button to unlock the door of Squad D. The automatic glass door slid aside, revealing a vast, sprawling office where two figures stood waiting. One of them cried out in sheer, clamorous excitement. Oh, he is here. He has finally arrived. He offered a polite, respectful bow. I have been assigned to work with Squad D, starting today. His new colleague spread his arms wide. We have heard all about you. Welcome to the squad. The beaming man was Supervisor Minseong. Standing behind him, arms sternly crossed, was the blue-haired Vice Captain Hage, radiating an intense gravity. Together, they welcomed him. Welcome to the 15th generation of Squad D. Solium silently offered thanks to the heavens that there was no hazing of newcomers. Yet, with cold, crossed arms, Hage instantly dashed his hopes like a bucket of icy water. Let me make one thing clear to you. Our squad is nicknamed Squad D, short for death, because every single recruit before you has perished. A suffocating, terrifying silence instantly blanketed the room. The grim face suddenly morphed into a whimsical, cartoonish grin. Just a little joke, she said. Beside her, Minseong let out a hearty laugh to ease the tension. Should I just resign right this instant? Welcome to the Abyssal Transit Management Bureau, and congratulations on surviving the deadly trial of mortality. Solium grimaced, silently questioning. Is it really wise to lay the grim truth bare like that? Even before they invited him to introduce himself. This is Vice Captain Un Hage, and we bid you a formal welcome to Squad D. And I am Supervisor Park Minseong. Solium offered a respectful bow. I look forward to serving under your guidance, superiors. Minseong chuckled, waving his hand dismissively. There is no need for such formality. If you manage to survive here for about a year, you will find yourself promoted in no time. Hage added with sheer nonchalance. Of course, you will likely perish before that ever happens. Minseong gasped in alarm. Senior, pardon. He fell into deep contemplation. Resigning might not be such a terrible option after all. Then again, regardless of which path I choose, I suppose there is always the risk of being dragged into some grotesque horror story. Be it the red mask or the ghost lurking in the latrine. Minseong proudly boasted of his status as the top graduate. Hage, fueled by curiosity, urged, tell us something glorious. But Solium merely replied with humility. I simply did my utmost, drawing a sarcastic laugh from her. Minseong informed them that the team leader was currently out on a field expedition, then offered warmly, please, make yourself at home. Solium offered a polite word of thanks, preparing to seat himself upon the sofa. The ancient radio atop the desk suddenly blared to life. Welcome to the live traffic broadcast. Solium started in surprise. Did the radio just turn itself on? Crackling with static, the radio droned on. Up next, real-time weather and traffic reports for Seoul. The announcer's voice drifted in a monotonous hum. Clear blue skies and radiant sunshine since this morning, alongside peaceful, flowing traffic. Yet just beyond the window, a torrential deluge battered a sea of grim, black umbrellas. Horns wailed deafeningly amidst the rain-slicked gridlock. Drivers, consumed by fury, hurled curses over collisions. A chaotic reality in stark, jarring contrast to the tranquil broadcast. He sensed the anomaly. Yet, today of all days, a weather forecast utterly contrary to unfolding reality is playing out. Solium stood frozen in place. His razor-sharp gaze locked onto the radio as it spilled its eerie sounds into the dead silence of the office. The decrepit radio fluctuated with anomalous interference, painting bizarre, spectral hues that seemed to harbor a sinister, otherworldly myth. Have you realized it yet? A sharp click echoed as the radio dial was turned. Standing closely behind, Solium observed every microscopic movement with an expression of icy indifference. Minseong clutched his tablet tight, breaking into a cold sweat as he offered a strained smile, while Hage stood behind him with crossed arms. He whispered, sharp as a specter, he picked up on the anomaly incredibly fast, didn't he? Minseong explained, think of it as a daily horoscope of sorts, a relatively harmless urban legend. On the screen, text flickered to life. An anomalous radio that forecasts daily horoscopes through traffic conditions. Hazard class, Twilight Darkness. Daydream Corporation Identification Code, QTERW-E-63. Solium remained utterly silent, casting a sharp, suspicious glance. Minseong suddenly pointed a finger straight at his face, raising his voice. You were just thinking, what in the world is an urban legend, and what is this darkness, you damn otaku? Weren't you? Solium replied with absolute nonchalance. No, I thought no such thing. Eagerly thrusting the tablet forward, Minseong chimed. For a fresh recruit like you, I have prepared just the thing. Be sure to watch it from the very beginning to the end. An archaic video interface flickered onto the screen with a stark red warning. This video has been produced solely for the training of executives and personnel of the Daydream Corporation. A glaring title flashed. Field Exploration Team, Recruit Training Directive. A pair of cartoon mascots, an orange cat and a golden dragon, pranced joyfully across the screen. Welcome to the dream-filled, passionate recruits of the Daydream Corporation's Field Exploration Team. 2 employees with dazzling, bright smiles appeared, asking, just what kind of enterprise is Daydream? But of course. A mystical corporation specializing in crafting genuine magical elixirs, delivering every type of potion you could ever desire. Are you aware that supernatural anomalies and bizarre phenomena still manifest within modern society? Right in the comfort of our homes, urban legends are bleeding into reality. From deadly, cursed fans to phantom elevator floors that should not exist. A myriad of spine-chilling urban legends is emerging across the world. To contain and manage all of these urban legends. To harvest dream essence, forging the magical elixirs that grant any wish. The orange cat chimed in curiously. Mr. Yong, what exactly is dream essence? The golden dragon replied, the most vital resource of the Daydream Corporation, harvested by none other than our extraordinary humans. Brilliant fireworks erupted to honor a band of cool, sunglass-wearing cartoon characters. Our magnificent field exploration team. Solium kept his eyes glued to the screen, utterly incredulous. What on earth is this madness? The gaudy, ridiculous video played on. The brave and the wise, and the glorious deeds of the Field Expeditionary Force. A magical reagent harvested only from supernatural anomalies. Reaping the essence of dreams is your sacred duty. And lo, the dream essence collector is filled to the brim once more. He narrowed his eyes, deeply skeptical of the sheer absurdity. Did they repackage a ghost story into an urban legend just to make it sound less terrifying? They've sanitized it with cute euphemisms. Yet, that is the true, unvarnished nature of the Daydream Corporation. A clandestine syndicate that synthesizes and peddles transcendent elixirs. Dream essence is the primal reagent, harvested directly from the heart of ghost stories. With dream essence, one can craft anything from panaceas for addiction to the elixir of immortality. They are capable of forging miraculous drafts potent enough to bend reality itself. And who, then, are the primary patrons of these elixirs? The political elite and the high aristocracy, of course. In the end, it is nothing but cold, hard commerce. Take up the dream essence collector and step into the devouring darkness. The 2 mascots waved in farewell as the video concluded. The future of our enterprise rests upon the shoulders of our employees, with the steadfast support of the Field Expeditionary Force. Minseong beamed, asking, did you enjoy the video? Solium offered a slight nod. It was highly memorable. They speak of ghost stories and urban legends, but since we possess the tactical codex, there is no cause for undue alarm. We ought to refer to these anomalies as the darkness, lest others view us as eccentric occult fanatics. Speechless, Solium thought, no matter what you call it, you'll still look like a garden-variety weirdo. Minseong sprang to his feet. Now that we have perused the codices, the vanguard shall mobilize. He flashed a radiant grin and rallied them. Let the expedition commence. Meanwhile, Hage stood behind him, silent and grave. Solium froze in sheer disbelief, his jaw dropping at his superior's reckless, lightning-fast decree. He could scarce believe his ears. On my very first day of service? The directive was delivered with baffling nonchalance. Your assignment this afternoon shall be a light, leisurely foray into the darkness. Hage stepped forward, thrusting the metallic collection syringe into his hand. Take this first, he commanded coldly. A prompt materialized on the screen. Dream Essence Collector. A portable fluid containment unit issued by the Daydream Corporation. Exercise extreme caution not to misplace this device, as each unit is serialized. Loss of this apparatus will result in severe administrative penalties. He nodded in grim understanding. Losing this gear must be as grave a sin as losing spent shell casings in the military. Hage's voice hardened. Make it a habit to don your mask before crossing into the darkness. He then demanded to inspect Solium's mask. Solium retrieved his pitch-black, antler deer mask and held it up for his superior's inspection. Both Minseong and Hage fell utterly silent, staring at the mask in sheer, bewildered consternation. The two superiors hesitated. Is this meant to be a deer? Or perhaps a muntjac? Minseong beamed, declaring with finality. Let's call it a muntjac. They are far more robust than ordinary deer. Solium stared, utterly speechless, at the illustration of a bizarrely muscular, rippling muntjac. Minseong thrust the tablet before his eyes. In any case, don your mask and behold this. The screen displayed an agonizing dilemma. Would you accept 20 million won to undertake a perilous quest, or choose to live a mundane, ordinary life? He gasped. Is this some kind of online forum post? The details read, a challenge to play hide and seek with a specter for 3 days within an abandoned convenience store in exchange for a massive bounty, followed by a chilling description of the phantom. The ghastly visage of a female specter loomed large amidst the thread starter's panicked, expletive-laden rants. Hage inquired with curiosity, what is that post about? He offered a swift explanation, whether one would dare accept money to play hide and seek with a ghost for 3 whole days. Just as he was wondering, why must I read such a nonsense post when I am about to venture into the dark abyss? Reality itself suddenly flickered and warped. Horror seized him as his body was slowly sucked into the yawning maw of an infinite black void. Wearing a beaming smile, Minseong waved his hand. Just keep your composure, complete the mission, and return. Everything will be fine. He spiraled into absolute panic. Did the company truly send a newly hired rookie entirely alone into the heart of a ghost story to carry out a mission? The system's error prompt flickered wildly, a psychological game of choices on the internet, where the player is pursued until they are caught. His surroundings plunged into a viscous, suffocating darkness, dead silent. Amidst the endless void, a solitary pinprick of light caught his eye. A blinding white light erupted, consuming all of existence. Solium stood frozen in the gloomy convenience store, the dim, flickering light from a glass display cabinet shining directly onto his pitch-black stag antler mask. Reality dawned upon him. I have entered the darkness. This is indeed the convenience store from the internet post. The abandoned store was shrouded in an eerie, sinister gloom. The checkout counter stood hollow and bone-chillingly cold. A sharp, metallic ticking echoed. A crimson digital clock displayed 12:01. His mind raced. First, is there any immediate threat to my basic survival needs? This dark tale was designed solely to extract screams and induce psychological terror. In other words, my life itself is not in imminent danger. If that is the case, for a coward like me, there is but one viable strategy. Grab some water, bunker down, and survive for 3 days. Just as he was about to open the cooler door, a grotesque face with soulless white eyes and a grin split from ear to ear pressed itself flat against the glass. Solium's eyes widened in sheer terror, cold sweat drenching his body. He screamed in silent agony. Why on earth is that face inside the refrigerator? Choice 1. A ghost story manifested from the dark exploration archives. You are primarily hunted by either a murderer or a specter. An ashen, withered hand thrust straight through the solid glass, clawing at the face of the paralyzed rookie. A blood-curdling screech pierced the air. I have caught you. Until you are caught. He jolted awake, gasping. Now you must start anew. The digital clock flashed eerily, resetting back to exactly 12 o'clock sharp. Astonished, he muttered. I've been sent back to the very beginning. He cursed in sheer fury. You expect me to play this wretched game for 3 whole days? You might as well just kill me now. There is not even a guarantee that this will only take 3 days. For if I am caught, I will be thrown right back to the starting line. It is truly an endless, infinite loop of restarts. A coward like me might very well lose his mind before those 3 days are even up. I must find another way. First, I must hide and figure things out later. If I crawl under the counter, a severed head, suspended in midair with eyes rolled back, loomed right beneath the counter, waiting for him. He spun away instantly, clamping both hands over his mouth to stifle his breath, even as the ghastly, phantom head dangled directly above him. The monster turned, its disheveled, matted black hair scraping against the floor with a dry, rustling sound agonizingly close to his ear. Strands of black hair, resembling squirming tentacles, slowly slithered away, allowing the suffocating darkness to shroud the space once more. I knew this would happen. It's the ultimate cliché for them to show their faces at a moment like this. The moment I make a sudden move, I'll be discovered instantly. I can't even check my phone, for the light will betray my position. In sheer despair, he told himself, the only thing I can rely on right now is my own memory. He frantically racked his brain, scouring his memories. The mad doctor, the crosswalk killer, the cannibal clown. Think, Kim Solium, think, there must have been an exception. A case that defied expectations. It was Exploration Log 23, a bizarre anomaly where the conclusion of the expedition was delayed far beyond what was anticipated. His eyes widened, grasping a fragile glimmer of survival. The more famous a ghost story in the Shadow Exploration Logs becomes, the more anomalies manifest. That is the defining trait of an open, collaborative wiki created by many. When a new ghost story is first conceived, it is written strictly according to the rules. But as it gains popularity and the exploration logs multiply, the same motifs are bound to repeat. And at that point, people will start creating exceptions. They introduce anomalies into the events to break away from the tedious repetition. The log I just recalled is precisely one of those exceptions. The memory of an exploration log rushed back. Team J survived for 12 hours in an abandoned hospital in the dead of night. The crucial detail: the expedition did not actually end until 16 hours and 11 minutes had elapsed. He analyzed. In a ghost story that should have concluded after 12 hours of survival, it took an additional 4 hours to escape. Huddled in the dark corner, sweat soaking through his mask, he muttered. A case where a temporal anomaly manifested within a shadow exploration. There must have been some exception hidden in the details of that expedition. Remember. Clutching his head, he desperately racked his brain. What was it then? I am certain they made a mistake somewhere along the line. It was because they never received the notification that the doctor's shift had ended. At 3 hours and 12 minutes, the rookie, Lee Jae-jin, accidentally severed the phone line at the reception desk. The clock read 12 hours and 12 minutes. It was already past 7:12 a.m., yet the sun refused to rise. The ghost story had not yet ended, and the doctor's shift dragged on. The clock ticked. 16 hours. The grotesque doctor pressed the red telephone to his ear. At 16 hours and 9 minutes, the phone line was successfully restored, and the phone rang instantly. By 16 hours and 11 minutes, the doctor answered the shift change call and vanished on the spot. The ghost story was complete. This tale is a case of distended time, yet within its depths lies a hidden clue. Gazing upon the crimson telephone, realization struck him. In truth, a specific catalyst must be triggered to bring an end to the temporal flow within this spectral tale. His eyes gleamed with calculating intensity. If it refuses to end because the temporal anchor remains dormant, then conversely, what if I force that catalyst to ignite ahead of its time? Calling employee. Calling employee. Calling employee. A skeletal ash-gray hand crept slowly toward the nape of his neck. He muttered with grim resolve. I know. Calling employee. Calling. As the dark-haired specter slithered dreadfully close, he realized. It knows I am here. It is merely toying with me. Clenching his fists in defiance. I must break free and run. Even if I am ensnared, I refuse to surrender to this crushing, learned helplessness. Crouching low, poised to spring. Since it stands before the counter, if I sidestep and slip past its grasp. Cold sweat dripped as his eyes widened in horror before the unspeakable abomination. The slimy monstrosity, its maw split into a grin from ear to ear, writhed beside the cash register. Please, kill me. Once more, he was cast back to the very beginning. The system chimed. Restarting. His soul shrieked in despair. 3 days? There is no way I can endure this torment for so long. It is impossible. He forced his shattered mind into focus. I cannot survive another loop of this madness. I must find the trigger at all costs, activate it, and hasten the end of this spectral nightmare. The convenience store plunged back into a deathly stillness. Gazing at the clock, April 4th, 12 a.m., he calculated. If I can prematurely trigger an event destined to occur 3 days from now, this haunting must end. What transpires in this convenience store 3 days from now? Do I stock goods that are not destined to arrive until then? He dismissed the thought instantly. No, that is far too convoluted. It must be something more visceral. His eyes ignited as they fell upon a label. The expiration dates. In a convenience store, expired food is cast away to be destroyed. The jumbo tuna mayonnaise triangle kimbap, the Jeonju bibimbap rice balls, the savory pork belly gimbap bursting with meat. If I can locate an item set to expire 3 days from now and register its disposal prematurely. Snatching a container from the shelf. Found you. Product. Salisbury steak in sauce. Manufactured. April 4th. Expiration. April 7th, 12 p.m. Clutching the steak container tightly, he crept forward, every nerve ending screaming in hypervigilance. A phantom apparition of the specter, frantically hammering away at the cash register keys, flickered in the darkness. In a blink, the counter stood desolate, save for the computer monitor casting a cold, eerie blue glow. He steadied his racing heart. A mere trick of the mind. The phantom has not yet manifested. Terrified though I am, I must act this very instant. He frantically worked the interface. Most of these registers allow for manual time override. First, I must shift the temporal clock forward by 3 days. The digital display flickered and jumped. April 7th, 11:59 p.m. Solium's finger struck the cash register's keys with absolute resolve. Please, let this work. The screen flared to life, flashing a notification. Change completed. With sweat pouring down his face, He let out a triumphant smirk. It's work. Instantly, the system shrieked in an ear-splitting wail. Disposal alert. An item is about to expire. From the shadowed recesses of the aisle, the ghost's tattered silhouette abruptly froze, standing dead still. The monster's massive, bloated, milky white eye glared straight ahead, brimming with pure malice. Its skeletal frame contorted violently as its deformed head snapped backward toward the checkout counter. It began to scuttle forward with the terrifying speed of a giant spider. Don't look, he whispered to himself. A slimy visage pressed close, its gaping maw exhaling a raspy, wheezing breath directly against the nape of his neck. Solium gritted his teeth, his hand squeezing the glowing red barcode scanner. Don't look! Just finish it already! The ghost crawled ever closer on all fours. The monitor flashed. Would you like to register this item for disposal? Without a moment's hesitation, he slammed his finger down on the confirmation key. The ghost's dripping, slimy arm dangled right before his eyes just as a sharp beep echoed. Registration complete. Disposal logged. As his sweat dripped onto the floor, the resulting ripples signaled that the trial was over. The overhead fluorescent lights flickered violently before bursting into a brilliant glare, tearing through the suffocating darkness of the store. The receipt printer whirred, slowly spitting out a slip of paper. He muttered, "It actually worked." Exhaling a long, shuddering breath, completely drenched in sweat, he sighed. I did it. Feeling as though he had been reborn, he thought, humans truly belong in the light. Both my mind and body are finally at peace. Turning to make his escape, a strange noise gave him pause. At any rate, I can finally get out of here. Wait, what? The cash register drawer shot open, packed to the brim with stacks of high-value bills. He blinked in sheer disbelief. Is this money? Recalling a crucial clue. It actually gives you money once you finish it, he concluded. So, was he just a nice guy who enjoys a good jump scare? A bizarre hallucination played out. The ghost, now clad like a tycoon, brandished a cash gun and sprayed bills everywhere. Standing beneath the raining currency, he could only blink. Oh! Outside, the headquarters of the Daydream Company loomed in drab gray. Sifting through a mountain of paperwork, Minseong calculated. The new rookie probably won't make it out for another 3 days at the earliest. Vice Captain Hage stretched, exhausted, and groaned. I'm sick to death of writing these reports. Minseong chuckled, prompting her to vent further. Suddenly, the tablet in Minseong's hand flashed and vibrated violently, catching him off guard. Wait, what? A blinding rift of white light tore through space, and a silhouette materialized right before the eyes of the two leaders. Solium landed, huddled on the floor and covered in the eerie dust of the anomaly, leaving both of his seniors utterly speechless. With a completely deadpan expression, he casually reported, I've filled the Dream Essence Harvester. Both Minseong and Hage froze like statues. It was an unprecedented, historic record. The fastest clear time for that superstitious ghost story had previously been 3 days. With a calm face, Solium held up the syringe thick with viscous essence, concluding swiftly, 1 hour and 24 minutes. Flashback to the rooftop conversation an hour prior, beneath a sky of billowing clouds. A Zippo lighter sparked, and Hage lit a cigarette in the fading twilight. Exhaling a long drag of smoke, she stared blankly as it dissolved into the air. Right now, the rookie of Team D is entirely alone in a superstitious ghost story. Hage narrowed her eyes, assessing. If it's a 3-day mission, it must be a relatively mild ghost story, and even if it gets prolonged, he has rations ready, so he won't face any major issues. Thrusting a rookie alone into the darkness is the unique initiation rite of Team D. Of course, quite a few rookies have resigned because of this initiation. Because of that, the HR department has nagged us endlessly. But if they cannot even survive this initiation, it is better they quit early, before they throw their lives away in vain. The backs of the two seniors weighed heavy on the rooftop, burdened by the haunting specter of lost comrades. That is also the last thing we want to see. A shattered mask floated beside a cold stalk of white chrysanthemum. By the way, about this new rookie. He completed his probation as the outstanding rookie, Kim Solium. A stark contrast between the radiant instructor and the rookie with a face like a funeral. He truly is extraordinary. The two bosses nodded in agreement. I must say, he is uncannily calm. Whether facing demons or lethal documents, his face remained completely expressionless behind his stag antler mask. Minseong praised. Normally, rookies panic when they first learn about our line of work, but he didn't even flinch. He possesses an incredibly steadfast will. Hage smirked. It seems the deputy chief is quite fond of him. They always welcome those with nerves of steel. Cigarette in mouth, she clicked her tongue. This is a department that walks into urban legends like it's a daily routine, so it would be a real hassle if he were a coward. Though a coward wouldn't have survived the probation period in the first place. The absurd truth was, the coward had actually passed his trial by running for his life, his frantic screams echoing everywhere. The two bosses proudly concluded, This new rookie is actually quite impressive. But he doesn't take any notes. Since this is his first job, he probably just doesn't know how to work efficiently yet. I must tell him that taking notes on crucial information is vital in our line of work. After all, our lives depend on it. Yes, you should remind him. He needs to write down what we say so he can review it and understand it better later. Indeed. After all, it's not as if he could have known any of this information beforehand. The phone stand lay there in silence, proof that he had already secured a life-saving cheat sheet. Back in the present, Min Seong muttered, "At the absolute fastest, it will take 3 days for the rookie to emerge. In the meantime, I should tackle this pile of paperwork." The computer began to shake violently. Why is it suddenly vibrating like this? A blinding flash of light erupted, shining directly into his face. The tablet vomited up a pitch-black lump. Exhaustion etched on his face. He raised the syringe and reported, "I have returned." The jaws of both bosses dropped. A ghost story that should have taken at least 3 days, and the rookie completed it in a single hour? Clutching his chest as he panted, he admitted, "I truly thought I was about to have a heart attack." Sweets were laid out on a plate. A questioning voice broke the silence. The convenience store was supposed to be a 3-day haunting. Solium sat swallowed up by the sofa, sandwiched between his two superiors. Min Seong pressed him. "It hasn't even been 3 days yet. How on earth did you manage to escape?" The boy merely gave a laconic reply. "Ah." Completely unfazed, he rattled off, "I fast-forwarded time." Min Seong broke into a cold sweat, thinking. He answered so nonchalantly, as if he were merely choosing what to have for lunch. Since there was a time limit, I reasoned there must be a specific event within the haunting that serves as a trigger to mark the passage of time. If that event is triggered before the 3 days are up, the ghost story ends. Thus, by utilizing the expiration dates, I destroyed the food before those 3 days could pass. This guy. He truly was the genius of the field expedition team. Hauntings are the easiest things in the world. The secret of escape has now been unveiled. The boss's thoughts ran wild. A new record of completing a mission immediately after joining. He must never be allowed to resign. No, I cannot let him slip away. No, I must help him adjust perfectly. We will never find another rookie like him again. With tears welling in his eyes, Min Seong desperately squeezed his hand. "When you strike it big, please don't forget me. Nai. At this rate, he's going to be promoted to deputy chief in no time." Both bosses leaned in, their faces masks of utter bewilderment. He scrambled to explain, thinking, it's really not what they think. His face shadowed and drenched in sweat. He confessed inwardly, "I only did it because I was absolutely terrified. Next time, at least give me a heads up before throwing me in." "You completed it in just 1 hour?" He replied, "Yes, I honestly thought I was going to die." Hage snapped, "Don't play dumb with me." Resting her chin on her hand, Hage gave a sly smirk and asked, "So, how much of a bonus did you receive?" He blinked in confusion. "Huh. The company pays out once a haunting is resolved." Looking at the stack of 50,000 won notes, he mumbled, 10 million won. Hage clapped his shoulder decisively. "Keep it all." Startled, he gasped, "Excuse me." Hage waved her hand dismissively. "Normally, the company takes a 50% cut, but since you've been through hell, just keep the whole sum. We'll handle the aftermath using our experience as your seniors, so don't you worry about a thing." Sweating profusely, the scales of his conscience began to waver. Though his senior insisted he keep it, he shrieked internally. In truth, the reward was 20 million won, and I was actually going to confess honestly. Hage leaned forward, a devious smile playing on her lips. "Now that this is settled, it's time for our team to attend to our most crucial duty." Min Seong beamed, his eyes crinkling into crescents. "We simply must do that." He blinked, a giant question mark practically hovering over his head. "What on earth is that?" With a sharp click of the mouse, a notification popped up, "Claim employee welfare reward points." The reward registration interface flickered to life. Kim Solium has been awarded 100 points for completing the F-rank darkness challenge. Perched grandly on the desk beside his mug, a tiny white creature with crimson eyes mischievously licked its chops. He mused, "So, simply by clearing an F-rank darkness zone on my own, I get 100 points?" Clicking the mouse in rapid succession, he muttered to himself, "Let's see if there's anything I can actually buy with 100 points. The screen displayed a robot vacuum cleaner priced at exactly 100 points, sparking his curiosity about what other items lay within. Scrolling through the catalog of the Daydream Corporation Employee Welfare Mall, he nodded in approval. This selection isn't half bad. Now then, how much would a wish ticket cost? A glass jar containing the wish ticket shimmered on screen, accompanied by an astronomical price tag, 500,000 points. Solium froze, letting out a dry, self-deprecating laugh at the astronomical figure, knowing full well he could never afford such a luxury. He racked his brain, calculating, if I ascend to higher ranks, like B rank, I'll receive a whopping 10,000 points. achieving the goal of 500,000 points. Whether he would have to clear a Class B zone a staggering 150 times. Whether he had gone completely mad. The survival rate of civilians in a Class B zone was a mere 2%. Huddled before the screen, he groaned. If I step into that place 150 times, I will surely lose my life. Minseong's voice rang out. Hey, little dear, did you register your points correctly? He replied curtly. Yes, sir. Pointing at the clutter on the desk, he asked. But what is all this stuff on the desk? Minseong glanced over. Ah, this is our team leader's desk. He grimaced. So this actually belongs to someone. Minseong offered a beaming smile and warned. Be careful not to damage the monitor. The team leader is currently out on a field mission. He could only fall into a tense, apprehensive silence. As expected of a company that harvests pharmaceuticals from ghost stories. I shouldn't try to comprehend this with common sense. I'm fine. Minseong's voice echoed. You don't smoke, Fawn? No, I'm fine. With a resolute gaze, he told himself, I will need a countermeasure to survive. His fingers began to rummage around, searching for something. I'll have to take a few shortcuts here. A sticky note beneath the keyboard read, Team Leader Lee Jae-hyun's credentials. Username and password. He mocked. Talk about zero security awareness. Typing away in the quiet room, he muttered. Let's log into the welfare portal with this account. An error popped up. Password does not match. He remained unfazed. I expected at least this level of difficulty. He reasoned. Registration requires a capitalized letter. What if I just capitalize the first letter of the password on this note and enter it? A chime rang out. Welcome, Team Leader Lee Jae-hyun. Login successful. It worked. Clenching his fist, he celebrated with a silent, timid triumph. He recalled, there are categories visible only to those of team leader rank and above, otherwise known as the alien shop. Among the extraterrestrials featured in the Darkness Exploration records, some peddle goods to Earthlings. They target the employees of Daydream Corporation as prospective clientele, planting illicit promotional links deep within the company's intranet. Accessing it is simple enough. While clicking around aimlessly on the welfare portal, his eyes glued to the screen, he thought, just hit the back button 5 times in a row. A brilliant banner flashed. First anniversary appreciation event. 80% off for those who want to grow stronger or acquire cool items. Staring blankly at the glowing monitor, he sneered. This interface looks incredibly tacky. Calculating the finances, he thought. When clearing an F-class darkness, 50% of the generated profit is paid to employees as a bonus. Conversely, that means the company pockets the other 50%. And for a rookie's first darkness raid, they snatch every single penny. Oh, how absolutely delightful. What looks like an ancient pop-up ad is actually adware ransomware promoting a black market accessible only to team leaders and above. Clicking this shady banner redirects straight to the site. He decided, but accessing it from a work computer will leave a paper trail. I'll save the link and access it from home. Caught in a ghost story, yet duty still calls. Adapted by Carrot and Super Outrageous Studio. Based on the original work by author Baek Deok-soo. Reclining with his phone in hand, his eyes narrowed in deep calculation. An eerie digital glitch flickered across the stark white background of the broken link. He muttered, if I manually input the link I saved earlier. The Daydream Corporation website flickered with a glitching, flashing read more prompt. The phone screen shattered into a chaotic mess of vibrant, interlacing digital static. The cosmic shopping mall interface glittered with stardust, beckoning. Browse our premium extraterrestrial goods. Gazing at his phone, he openly scoffed. This tacky design isn't even optimized for mobile displays. Yet, I must not let this tacky facade fool me. The items they sell here are truly. The system chimed, displaying items, accompanied by a whimsical icon of a UFO flashing a thumbs up. The list stretched before him. Vampire tableware for nearly 15 million won. A wide broadcast transceiver for nearly 5 million won. An emergency distress button for over 66 million won. An Alice picnic set for nearly 12 million won. And a silver copper serpent heavily discounted to nearly 5 million won. He gasped. They are truly extraordinary. Clenching his fist in excitement, he realized, I know more than half of the items listed here. He calculated, the tableware, the transceiver, and the picnic set are familiar to me. The other 2 are completely foreign. Glancing at the price tag, he sighed. This one is way out of my budget. Better skip it. With the 20 million won earned from that convenience store ghost story, if I calculate carefully to maximize efficiency. Making his final decision, he declared, all right, this is the one. The screen flashed. Please wait a moment while the system processes your transfer. A sleek, brilliant notification burst forth against the sparkling black background. Purchase successful. The system chimed. The item has been loaded onto the transport rocket, preparing for delivery to the buyer. He stared in utter bewilderment. What a bizarre method of delivery. The countdown timer flashed. 3 seconds. It ticked down to 2 seconds. Striking the final mark, 1 second. A sharp alarm tore through the silence of the room. Time was up. A beam of starlight from a distant galaxy shot straight down from the ceiling, dropping the parcel directly into his hands. His jaw dropped. It's still warm, fresh from the cosmic shopping mall. A cold sweat broke out on his brow at this literal rocket delivery from outer space. He marveled. This mad world actually has its moments of wonder, instead of just bringing endless terror. The box sprang open on its own, unleashing a radiant, mystical glow. The meticulously chosen treasures were about to manifest. Inside lay the Alice picnic set, and a silver coin engraved with, evaluating the first item. The Alice picnic set, valued at nearly 12 million won. It alters item effects, doubling the efficacy of drinking water and having that of eating cookies. Carrying 1 or 2 of these sets would surely prove immensely useful. The second item was a silver serpent coin, heavily discounted from nearly 20 million won to a mere 5 million won. Cradling the coin, he decided to purchase it, having seen the original price was an absolute steal and harboring an exceptionally good premonition about it. This is a highly promising investment for the future. Market analysis. In this world, there exist various currencies born of paranormal tales, convertible into cash through specialized organizations. Purchasing it during such a discount will surely yield a handsome sum down the line. Clasping his hands before the chart, it will surely yield profit one day. This is by no means gambling or a pipe dream, but an entirely rational decision. Yet, why did he not purchase the remaining items in the shop? Simply because he could not make use of them in battle. Take, for instance, the vampire cutlery set, a weapon specialized for direct confrontation with demons, utterly ill-suited to his style. A gargantuan specter draped in white cloth and bearing stag horns menaced him as he held the cutlery.
Come iter, cowardly Kim.
What shall become of Solium's fate? Beneath lay his own funeral portrait. And besides, can one even draw blood from a ghost? A female physician was drawing blood from the arm of a disheveled specter. I shall extract its dream essence, to which the ghost gave a sharp, obedient nod. Considering the wideband walkie-talkie, it would be bizarre to convince a superior to carry it. Imagining explaining to Hage, this walkie-talkie is not actually a toy, but a special item. She would surely knit her brows and question its origin. Solium broke into a cold sweat at the thought of being exposed. How could he ever tell them that he had purchased it by stealthily logging into his boss's account? Thus, in the end, the conclusion was that these items were the best choice at present to ensure his safety without raising suspicion. Upon a retro pixel game screen, a tiny Solium character stood on a crimson pedestal. Acquisition notification. Alice picnic set with drink me bottle labels, eat me cookies, alongside the chest containing the silver serpent coin. He took stock of his inventory. The remembrance phone stand, smiley sticker, Alice picnic set, and silver serpent coin. Folding his arms, he calculated what he held in his grasp. His face beamed with satisfaction. Though rather sudden, purchasing fantasy items in real life actually feels quite wonderful. He seemed to have truly enjoyed this shopping spree. The only drawback is that fantasy ghosts come along as a free promotional gift. While he slept soundly, a bulging-eyed specter stared and groaned right behind him. Is the customer satisfied with their shopping trip? Please leave a 5-star review for our shop. There are a few paranormal tales that we regularly manage. Today, we shall venture into one of them at the Bake Hill building. Minseong patted his shoulder reassuringly. It is merely a Twilight D-class dark zone, so there is nothing to worry about. It is the same level as the new employee orientation, so you will be fine. Solium's face grew dark as coal, thinking bitterly, I was completely traumatized by that incident. Hage spoke confidently. Previously, I overcame it through relentless trial and error. Now that we have a guidebook, there is no way we shall fail. Minseong urged them to enter the moment the team leader arrived. Solium clicked his tongue and reluctantly agreed. At any rate, this is still better than playing hide and seek alone with the convenience store ghost. Minseong handed over a tablet displaying the guide for the 3rd quiz show of Twilight D-class. We shall enter this afternoon, so you should read the guidebook first. It is a paranormal tale where you shall participate in a quiz show as a contestant. If you fail to answer the questions, a horrific penalty will befall you. Just memorize the answer key and do nothing unexpected, and you will be fine. Solium kept his eyes glued to the screen. Minseong asked kindly, should I provide you with a printed guide for easier note-taking? He waved his hand dismissively. No need. He calmly declared, I have already committed it all to memory. Both the deputy head and the supervisor turned to stone in unison. In the eyes of his colleagues, he was transformed into a megabrain genius packed with data. So that is why you had no need for notes. He stood bewildered. Huh. The team leader will surely find working with you to be a breeze. Hage nodded in agreement. Meanwhile, our sham genius stood utterly dumbfounded, not understanding a single thing. Narrowing his eyes, he recalled the scapegoat. Come to think of it, I still have not met the leader of Team D. The mysterious boss whose account I just stealthily borrowed to purchase cosmic toys. They said they would arrive by afternoon, so I would see them soon. Or at least so I thought. Upon the desk, the tiny, red-eyed beast lingered in a daze amidst a clutter of pens. What? Hage clawed at his hair over the phone in sheer frustration. No, that is difficult. Our team leader is still out on field duty. Ah, I see. His face fell into a mask of utter helplessness. Hanging up, Hage turned and growled in disbelief. Have they lost their minds? They expect us to just take the rookie and venture in? Just the three of us. Minseong grimaced. It is the end of the month after all. Deer only had his first day yesterday and he did so well. The heavy pressure of corporate quotas. So it is about performance targets. The two superiors sighed in dismay over their quotas. Cold sweat breaking out, Solium scrambled for an escape. Deer, have you committed the entire answer sheet to memory? If I claim I haven't, do you think they'll let us skip this? Minseong's foolish enthusiasm instantly crushed any hope of evasion. Hey, he committed that entire thick manual to memory, so a little thing like this is child's play to him. Solium sank into despair. I am utterly doomed. Donning his coat with effortless cool, Hage declared. Then today we venture in alone. This happens all the time anyway, so there is no need to worry. Yes, I told you not to. He cursed bitterly under his breath. An assassination. Am I being punished like this just because I earned 20 million won? Retribution was swift. Scrolling through his tablet in dismay. The problem is, this spectral anomaly, the Tuesday quiz show, Sunset D-level, manual and answer sheet. I have never seen mention of it in the Shadow Expedition files. He analyzed as they walked. Naturally, I expected to encounter anomalies I had never seen before, but I did not think I would plunge into an uncharted tale so soon. Is the company's shadow registry far vaster than I ever imagined? The initiation process was deceptively simple. The path of entry is simple. Just write your name in the sender slot on this ancient postcard. One by one, they signed their names in ink. Badger, Falcon, Row. A sharp, decisive click of a pen echoed, sealing their descent into a game of life and death. A haunting narration whispered, One day, I found a strange postcard tucked within an old magazine. It came with a brochure seeking contestants for some quiz show. But when I searched, no such broadcast existed. Driven by curiosity, I wrote my name in the sender slot just for fun, and then, I was dragged into a truly bizarre quiz show. Everyone, what exactly constitutes a show? A blinding yellow flare erupted from the camera lens, piercing the gloom of the stage. The stage gleamed, a bright marquee reading, The Tuesday Quiz Show with an immaculate stage and an elegantly dressed host, a grand backdrop of stacked vintage televisions and instruments, the roaring sound of a live band, and contestants burning with passion. Standing behind the podium in his deer antler mask, sweat pouring down his face, Solium heard the host roar. No, that is not all. It is our connection with all of you that breathes life into a true show. Clashing cymbals shattered the air, driving the tempo. So from this moment forth, do not forget to cheer. Welcome to the Tuesday Quiz Show. My goodness. Look at the roster of contestants for tonight's episode. The host leaned in close to Solium with artificial warmth. Welcome to the Tuesday Quiz Show. Deer, you must be terribly nervous for your debut broadcast. But a smiling face is the very foundation of the stage. The screen on the host's television head flickered into a wide, jagged grin. So, let us face it with a radiant smile. Solium froze in terror. A television head? The television-headed creature gestured to the crew. Good, very good. Cameras, stand by. Solium was seized by utter bewilderment. He has a television where his head should be. Is this thing the host of the show? Thunderous applause cascaded through the hall as the host rallied. So for one final time, shall we hear you roar once more? Because, he swept into a theatrical bow. Your cheers, Badger, Falcon, Deer, are the sole reason this show exists. The three stood frozen at their podiums. The stands erupted into thunderous applause as ribbons fluttered down in a colorful haze. He clapped along awkwardly to the rhythm, muttering, It's not as terrifying as I thought. Making an immediate comparison. Compared to the ghost at the convenience store, this is nothing. Trying hard to reassure himself. It's much easier to handle if I just think of him as a host wearing a TV mask. Looking around the grand, retro studio, he silently praised it. This place is also much nicer. It's an old-fashioned but normal studio, and it even has an audience. Feels like an old American talk show, the Tuesday Quiz Show. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed sharply, and he froze. Huh! Wait! It's happening again. The puzzle pieces of death clicked together in his mind. An old American talk show, the Tuesday Quiz Show, a trivia contest, the Tuesday Quiz Show, Sunset Grade D, the answer sheet, a setting where the participants already knew the answers beforehand. Cold sweat drenched his skin as he realized the nightmare truth. This ghost story. The TV-headed man leaned close to the camera lens, radiating a blinding aura of malice. All right, it seems our preparations are complete. Let us begin right now. As the countdown board slammed to 3, a ghost story recorded in the dark exploration documents. The Daydream Corporation identifier is QTERWA104. The genesis of the grade reevaluation incident that claimed countless lives. Before him flashed the image of his 2 colleagues, smirking with arrogant confidence. A deadly, abyss grade, a dark zone. The official survival records of the participants. Beneath his roe deer mask, Solium's face drained of all color, beads of sweat breaking out on his forehead. The hopeless verdict slammed shut. Not a single soul returned alive. An old film reel flickered past, exposing a scene drenched in the fresh, splattered crimson blood of those who had gone before. The root of the tragedy. The catastrophe began in a sunset-grade D dark zone, themed around a 1970s American talk show. The sharp slap of the clapperboard rang out. Action! The TV-headed MC, displaying a smiley face wearing black sunglasses, raised his cue card high and announced sonorously, "Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching the Tuesday quiz show." He bantered with the audience. Is everyone looking forward to Tuesday? Behind it lay a chilling explanation. This show has different themes for specific days, but there has never been a recorded case of anyone entering on any other day. He played both parts. I certainly am. The absolute rule. One can only participate in the talk show on the designated day. Enthusiastically introducing the fresh prey. Our lovely new faces, Badger and Falcon, because today is the only day we get to meet the contestants of our quiz show. From the 12th cycle onward, the field expedition team successfully prepared answer sheets for previous questions of the main quiz segment on the designated talk show day and entered. By the 110th episode, they had successfully escaped with 0 casualties across 99 expeditions. However, a catastrophic accident occurred during the 111th episode, on their 100th expedition. Blinding spotlights cut straight down onto the stage. The MC roared, "And now, let me introduce our contestants." The audience erupted into roaring applause. The 2 bosses smirked proudly at the camera. Badger and Falcon. The final name was called, and Mr. Roe Deer. Solium stood frozen under the glaring spotlight, his face dark with sheer panic and bewilderment. The TV-headed host gave a bizarre, glitchy wink. Will our contestants be able to keep their winning streak alive? Let's tune into the live broadcast and find out together. Cheers exploded throughout the studio. The 110th episode of the Tuesday quiz show begins right now. Solium stood utterly dumbfounded in the center of the stage. His eyes widened in horror, goosebumps raising all over his skin as his mind raced. If this is the 110th episode, then this is only the 99th expedition. It's not the 100th. Startled, Hage turned to him, frowning in confusion at the rookie's extreme tension. Hage nodded with a confident smile, while Minseong, standing just behind, appeared utterly at ease. Solium calculated to himself, well, logically speaking, the chances of hitting the 100th question right away are quite slim. The seniors look so relaxed as well. It's fine. Everything will turn out all right. Clenching his sweaty fists, he warned himself. Yet, I must not lower my guard. I am still trapped within a ghost story, after all. Any act of insolence toward the program shall result in expulsion. The 3rd game show, Twilight Level, Group D. Obstructing the broadcast shall result in incineration. The glowing crimson text reiterated its warning. Obstructing the broadcast shall result in incineration. And, this trivia show is a live broadcast. The towering giant with the television head loomed oppressively. Any sudden action is, in essence, an act of self-destruction. My, Sir Muntjac, you look rather anxious. Are you quite all right? Lowering his head, he replied. I am fine. It is just that this is my first time on a quiz show, so I am a bit nervous. The entity nodded. Good. As static crackled across his screen, he pointed his finger directly at the boy's face. In that case, let me ask you a simple question. The question flashed onto the screen. Select the element that does not constitute a component of a human being. 1. Water. 2. Iron. 3. Oil. 4. Earth. He answered calmly. Number 4. Earth. A crisp chime rang out. The host gave a thumbs up of approval amidst a torrent of canned applause. Sir Badger, correct? Truly marvelous. Is it not? The host feigned utter disbelief. Incredible. Even Lady Falcon is correct. Once more, the chime rang out melodiously. Suddenly, the host shrieked. It appears Sir Muntjac is struggling to choose the correct answer. As the frantic ticking of a clock hammered against his chest, the host egged him on. He is hesitating. Drenched in sweat, Solium fought to maintain his composure and locked in his choice. Number 3, suffocation. The host roared. Number 3. With Solium's heart hammering violently, the host cried. Now, what fate awaits Sir Muntjac, who has chosen suffocation? A grinning face flashed onto the screen alongside the chime of a correct answer. That is correct. Breathing a sigh of relief, he cursed silently. The answer was blatantly number 3. That damn host is just trying his absolute best to drum up cheap suspense. A succession of questions passed without a hitch. He assured himself, I will get through this safely, one way or another, just by following the manual. The cries of correct echoed repeatedly. Astounding. Our contestants are on a flawless winning streak, answering every single question correctly. The electronic scoreboard flashed. 99%. The host declared. And before we knew it, only the final question of this episode remains. He pointed a challenging hand directly at Solium. Will they truly conquer this final question as well? Solium stood rigid, bracing himself for the onslaught. Sir Roe dear, are you ready? Cold sweat dripping down his face, he muttered under his breath. Yes. Excellent. Let us reveal the final question. The massive screen flickered to life. Select the percentage of blood loss that results in human death. The options are 1, 40%, 2, 45%, 3, 50%, 4, 55%. The correct answer is. The host stared in astonishment as the display board scrambled chaotically. Answer number 1. You have chosen answer number 1. But before the entity could even finish, Solium added, and answer number 2. The host stood paralyzed, unable to believe his eyes as the remaining numbers lit up. Answer number 3, and answer number 4? Solium stared directly into the host's face and delivered a decisive blow. They are all correct. On average, a human life is jeopardized when blood loss reaches 30 to 40%. Consequently, any loss exceeding that threshold will inevitably result in death. To select multiple answers simultaneously. How exceedingly bold. A backstage crew member, drenched in sweat, rushed forward. Do you intend to change your answer? With absolute finality, the boy replied, I do not. He tilted his head to catch the whispers from backstage, then nodded in assent. In truth, the answer prepared by our writing team was indeed option number 1. He gasped in disbelief. What? He gestured toward him with rising fervor. Yet, is the answer given by Sir Roe dear not vastly more magnificent? We shall deem this a flawless, perfect response. 100 points. He let out a long breath of relief, whispering to himself, I survived. And so, the 110th episode of the Tuesday Quiz show draws to its close. Astonishingly, every last one of our contenders has forged an unprecedented winning streak. It is almost over, Minseong thought, while Hage smothered a heavy yawn. Thank the heavens. Yet, there can only ever be one true champion. Sir Roe dear, my utmost congratulations. The Board of Honor flared to life for the 99th time, his name blazing upon it. A thunderous round of applause for our reigning champion. Utterly bewildered, he accepted the prize, murmuring a soft thank you, while a tempest of dread raged in his heart. Why me? Shimmering confetti rained down in a glittering deluge. Beneath his mask, he exhaled in relief. At least it is finally over. The display board blazed with the number 99. He told himself, the moment the cameras shut down, I can finally escape this place. The host waved a grand farewell. Alas, the hour has come to bring our Tuesday Quiz show to a close. Until next Tuesday, on the morrow, we shall return with guests more spectacular still. Static surged across the broadcast, and the host's figure dissolved into a chaotic smear of garish colors. Minseong's face faded behind a veil of harsh scanning lines as the cameras died. His eyes widened in sheer horror as the signal warped into utter distortion. With a cold, hollow click, the stage lights died, and an absolute dark swallowed the podium's whole. A spasmodic white light burst from a hidden corner, piercing the gloom. A ghastly ledger of contestants manifested beneath a sickly yellow glow. Gentleman jellyfish, caller, mole, badger, falcon, muntjac, and zebra. The scoreboard flickered violently, its numbers dancing in chaotic madness. The first 3, jellyfish, caller, and mole, stood frozen in deathly silence, beads of cold sweat breaking out across their brows. Even the 2 bosses broke into a cold sweat, catching the grim stench of impending death. The masked zebra at the final podium stood frozen, paralyzed by the suffocating dread. The terrifying truth unraveled. What? Did the number 10 just appear on the display board? A stark, bloodless number 1 manifested alone against the pitch-black backdrop. 2 zeros followed in quick succession, sealing the haunting dread of the number 100. Are those people members of the field survey team? Why in the world did they step into this very same ghost story? What is this? What madness is unfolding here? Why are those who came before still here? The warning in the guidebook shrieked in their minds. To disrupt the broadcast is to court utter annihilation by fire. A furious blaze consumed the zebra podium, reducing everything to ashes in an instant. Every onlooker stared, their faces frozen in utter shock.
Surprise, surprise.
That was a thrilling sneak peek of the contestants set to debut next Tuesday. He turned back to gaze at the smoldering ashes, struck speechless by horror. He could not afford to react now. The studio cameras were still rolling, broadcasting live. Frozen beneath the camera's red tally light, he was reminded of the warning on the notice. Any behavior deemed disrespectful to the show will result in immediate expulsion. Clenching his trembling fists, he cursed inwardly in utter helplessness. Who will be the next champion to succeed me? Stay tuned for next Tuesday's quiz show. Festive music swelled and ribbons drifted down, bringing the broadcast to a close. Alas, that is all for today. We shall meet again tomorrow with a show even more thrilling. The Tuesday quiz show is produced by the station, starring Roe Deer, Badger, Falcon, and all of you. The host gave a playful wink, bidding a farewell laced with a sinister air. A blinding white light flashed, severing the live broadcast feed. Wiping away his sweat, the host muttered to himself, "That was a close call." The crew nearly ruined the live broadcast. Thankfully, we managed to salvage the situation in the end. Below, a crew member was sweeping away the blackened ashes. The host offered an invitation. "Mr. Roe Deer, you have demonstrated exceptional cognitive prowess. Would you be interested in becoming a permanent guest on our show?" He refused flatly. "I already have a stable job." The host expressed his regret. The new contestants must have been startled. They surely did not mean to disrupt the broadcast, advising him, "Do not be too disheartened." Badger and Falcon remained frozen, still lost in shock. Soon granting all three of you the chance to experience the show. The hurried footsteps of a staff member echoed toward them. The host paused as the staff member rushed over and whispered urgently in his ear. He let out a soft gasp, and the smiley face on his television screen instantly contorted into a sorrowful droop. He looked at the group with deep unease. "This is truly a difficult piece of news to break to you all right now." The TV-headed host hung his head in gloom. "Our show has just been cancelled. The Tuesday quiz show with..." Solium broke into a cold sweat beneath his mask. To be precise, the Tuesday quiz show. "It is not that my program has ended, but the quiz segment itself has been replaced." The host quickly adopted a soothing tone. "Ah, of course, this does not mean it is the end of everything. I have good news. Next Tuesday..." "No." Hage recoiled in sheer terror upon hearing his enthusiastic proclamation. "Because we shall also invite all of you to be participants in this brand new segment." Solium bit his lip hard. This turn of events is far too dangerous. Exploration file number 100. Tuesday quiz show, completion report, Daydream Corporation. Commenced in the same studio as previous episodes. However, the show's title has been changed. The Tuesday quiz show has been cancelled. Because a participant answered correctly more than 99 consecutive times, the penalties became utterly meaningless. They were reportedly disciplined as this segment was no longer stimulating enough. And now the new segment is, since it is a pre-recorded broadcast, it should be easier than before. Though my role is but an assistant, I shall do my utmost to create a splendid show. Wait, a voice cut in, refusing. "We have already taken part in the show, so we shall take our leave now." The screen flickered with blood-red static. "The recording is far from finished, yet you already wish to depart?" He thrust his television head close to Hage's face, exerting a suffocating pressure. My, the terms were clearly stated on the registration postcard. "It would be most troublesome indeed if you were to abandon us halfway like this." A grotesque face, its hollow sockets ablaze with fire, flickered into view. "Can you truly not bring yourselves to do it?" "No." Hage struggled to maintain his composure. "We were not informed that we would have to appear in back-to-back shows." Solium hastily intervened. "We might commit errors during the live broadcast." He swore to himself that he must halt this madness at any cost. He deftly slipped backward, searching for an escape route. "It seems we require further preparation, so we shall take our leave for today." He racked his brain for an excuse to flee. "I must find a way out of here, and we shall return next Tuesday." From the wings of the stage, a cue card was raised high. "Ah! The filming preparations are complete. Approved." The television-headed fiend spun around. "Now, to your marks, for the show must go on." Cold sweat poured down Solium's face in sheer dread. He stared intently at the grotesque creature's back. This madman. A wave of sheer helplessness washed over him. Reasoning with him is utterly impossible. 3, 2, 1. Action. The title of the program materialized in midair. "Greetings, dear viewers. The joy of Tuesday. The burning passion of Tuesday. You are watching the brand new segment of our talk show. There is no need to grieve over the conclusion of the Tuesday quiz show, for we have prepared an even grander, upgraded rendition of the quiz." Behind the television-headed fiend, a colossal shadow with glowing red eyes loomed. After all, nothing stirs the soul quite like a melody. Most of all, the singing voices. The faces of the three drained of all color. A chorus. How magnificent the symphony shall be. I am certain you will all fall utterly in love with it. The title of our new segment is The stage erupted as a colossal, suit-wearing, pig-headed monstrosity made his entrance. The Tuesday Chorus. Allow me to introduce the special guest we have summoned for this new segment, the conductor of the Purgatory Chorus. The filthy, grotesque, yet magnificent butcher of melodies. His grand apparatus is currently. The television-headed host stared blankly at the silent maestro. Wait a moment. The maestro's apparatus is descending. A colossal metal disc, etched with ghastly, spectral patterns, slowly descended to hover in midair. A multitude of weighing scales, suspended by heavy iron chains, clattered downward to create a suffocating and oppressive spectacle. Around the rim of the great metal disc, carved skulls writhed, their jaws agape in eternal screams. The host tilted his head with malicious intent. I wonder, who shall join our grand chorus? I believe I will bestow the honor of the first trial upon our fresh-faced newcomers. He pointed directly at the player's face. Mr. Mole, this question is yours. Mole recoiled in shock, cold sweat drenching his skin. The quiz board flared to life on the massive screen. Which of the following creatures possesses the longest lifespan? 1. A pig. 2. A human. 3. A rabbit. 4. A flea. The host's monitor clearly displayed the 4 fatal choices. Trembling, Mole forced himself to calm down before screaming out, Human! Option 2. It is human. The electronic board flashed brightly with the word. Correct. Mole let out a smug sigh of relief as the loudspeaker crackled with congratulations. Congratulations on passing, Mr. Mole. Instantly, his head was severed and sent flying, crimson blood spraying violently into the air. The sacrificial hymn comprises a single conductor and 13 silver trays of his summoning. The exquisite silver tray was stained with blood. At last, a grotesque hand, clutching a razor-sharp blade, stood beside a bleeding pig's head. The first member of our choir has taken their place. The severed head resting upon the silver tray stared with wide, glassy eyes, shrieking maniacally, Hello, human! It's human! The severed heads of the talk show guests are placed upon silver trays, their selection determined by the segment broadcasted that day. Fused with the silver, each head utters different words while mimicking the sounds of musical instruments, composing an a cappella melody. The maximum number of remaining heads ever recorded is 7. A single head causes mild headaches, anxiety, and erratic mood swings. The girl standing nearby clutched her face, weeping hysterically in sheer panic. The head on the silver tray chanted repeatedly, Human. The girl screamed her friend Cian's name in bitter anguish. Tears streamed down the girl's face in sheer terror as the head continued to sing out relentlessly. Answer number 2 is human. Flames erupted violently across the stage. And now up next, an arrow pointed directly at the trembling jellyfish. Mr. Jellyfish, are you ready? Jellyfish clutched his head, screaming in utter despair. If I am to end up like that, I would rather take the penalty. I don't know. I don't know the answer. The unfortunate soul was instantly incinerated on stage. Oh my! Eliminated. Utterly eliminated. What a tragedy. He failed to join our grand choir. The remaining players stood deathly pale, cold sweat dripping down their faces. An entire expedition party had vanished in a mere 5 minutes, leaving nothing but streaks of pitch-black blood upon the floor. Solium gritted his teeth, calculating the odds. The penalty system is gone. Answering incorrectly means unconditional elimination. Yet, if you answer correctly, your head is severed, and you are bound to become an evil spirit. This truly is a horrifying Class A ghost story. The television screen flickered with static. And then, I recalled a terrifying truth that I had unwittingly ignored for far too long. Even the names of my superiors, Captain Park and Vice Captain Unhage, I have never once seen them mentioned in the Dark Expedition Chronicles. The monitor flickered, displaying a grotesque, crimson smile. Now then, shall we meet our next contestants?
A familiar face.
It is your turn to answer. A harsh spotlight beamed down upon the trembling Minseong. Mr. Badger, despair surged within. If I answer this correctly, will we all simply perish one by one? Images of headless corpses strewn everywhere flashed. To be decapitated, or to be incinerated one after another? Indeed, how could a coward like me hope to survive such a wicked game? The long shadow of the noose draped over Solium's back, a grim herald of his impending death. Squeezing his eyes shut, he pictured the rope tightening slowly around his throat. It is almost my turn. Death stares me in the face. Solium struck his own face with a stinging, brutal slap. I cannot yield to fate like this. His eyes snapped wide, burning with renewed resolve. Wake up, Kim Solium. You must not fall here. The image of a violent, churning tsunami surged in his mind. This is no mere fear. It is the overwhelming dread of witnessing a cataclysm unfold right before one's eyes. This is a true disaster of absolute destruction. Gripping his phone tightly, he whispered to himself, Do not forget, Kim Solium, you possess the greatest chance of survival here. You are the only one who has read the entirety of the online encyclopedia. A crimson notification box flared to life, heavy with menace. Now, Mr. Badger, are you prepared to face your question? I am a human. I am a human, I tell you. The TV-headed host tilted his head, his screen displaying a simple yellow smiley face dripping with mockery. Mr. Badger? Drenched in sweat, Min Seong gave a faint nod of assent. Instantly, the TV-headed host squealed in delight. Splendid. Before I answer, may I say a few words? Oh, but of course. I have a loved one hospitalized. If it is possible, once the broadcast ends, I beg of someone to check on their well-being. The image of two pieces floating listlessly in water appeared. The TV-headed host gasped. How deeply moving. In the very next breath, he pressed for the final answer. A timid voice broke the silence. Excuse me, Mr. Host. What is this? My dear Mr. Roe dear, do you have something to say? Min Seong, standing nearby, panicked. I have no idea what he is planning. But to interrupt the host's rhythm in a place like this is sheer madness. I am terribly sorry, but I feel utterly lightheaded. May I please take a brief recess? The camera cut to a close-up. A minuscule smiley face sticker, affixed beneath the host's TV chin, was oozing a bizarre fluid. Oh dear, that does put me in quite a difficult spot. Cut. We shall take a 30-minute intermission. Page and Min Seong froze in disbelief. How did he dare disrupt the host's rhythm, yet walk away unscathed instead of being instantly incinerated? Solium let out a ragged sigh of relief. If this had been a live broadcast, I would have been a corpse long ago. Steadying his nerves, he thought, fortunately, this is merely a pre-recorded broadcast. That detail alone has carved out a path of survival for us all. And the linchpin of our salvation is the very object secretly affixed beneath that TV screen. The triple smile sticker, a unique artifact which, when applied to any sentient being, kindles a subtle warmth of familiarity within them. When paired with the canned beverage from the Alice picnic set, labeled Drink Me, it doubles the potency of any active item. Though it was a perilous gamble to test whether these artifacts would hold sway over the monstrous host, he had no other choice. And miraculously, the gambit seemed to work on this terrifying entity. The TV-headed man offered a wry apology, claiming he needed to adjust his antenna. Could someone please escort Mr. Nai Ro to the waiting room? With a playful wink, he advised. I did promise to fetch you some water. Go, have a drink, and take a rest. Nai Ro darted his eyes around in sheer tension, struggling to maintain his composure in the grim presence of death. The recording will resume in 30 minutes. As the 30-minute countdown began, he muttered to himself, I've managed to buy us some time. Inside the waiting room, Hage suddenly grabbed a tight hold of his hem. Leaning in close, Hage whispered into his ear, Check it when you are alone. He flinched in utter surprise. The door to the waiting room slammed shut, leaving behind a suffocating, heavy silence. Slumping against the wall, he let out a weary sigh, utterly exhausted after the grueling battle of wits. I bought us some time, but it's a mere 30 minutes. I don't even have the luxury to catch my breath. Unclenching his hand, he looked down at the object Hage had secretly slipped him. It was just a coat button, yet it looked like something that could be pressed, like a hidden switch. Squeezing it firmly between his fingers, a faint, mechanical click echoed. He gasped in surprise as a steady, rhythmic dial tone began to ring out. A chime indicating a successful connection sounded from the button. A deep, resonant voice drifted from the other end of the line. I am Lee Jae-hyun. The stranger introduced himself. Who is on the other end? That is the call button of Deputy Chief Eun Hage. He instantly realized this was a communication device. He hastily pressed for confirmation. Are you the leader of Team D? I am. There is no time. He reported urgently. I am Rookie Kim Solium of Team D, and I have an emergency report to make. Within 30 minutes, every single member of Team D will die. Whether this works or not, I have to say it first. Gripping the button tighter, he heard the reply. I understand. I will listen to a summary of your report. Keep it under 5 minutes. So, at this rate, the moment the intermission ends, every one of us will perish. I understand. With cold sweat trickling down, Solium relayed. Stall for another 30 minutes. That seems impossible. In that case, there is no other choice. Clenching his fist in anger, he thought, how can he remain so calm when the lives of his own squad hang by a thread? Does he take this for a joke? A mixture of hope and doubt flickered in Solium's eyes. Will the situation change if I stall for another 30 minutes? It is possible. If we can secure a window of more than 55 minutes from this moment, we can obtain clearance from the security team to requisition weapons and infiltration gear. Even if we simplify all procedures, it will still take about 40 minutes. Furthermore, it will take another 20 minutes to enter the designated zone of darkness. This process must be completed for there to be even a statistical chance of rescuing Team D. Sharp eyes behind the antler mask widened in astonishment. Are you saying that by using special equipment to enter the darkness, you can single-handedly suppress a Class A ghost story? If such a feat is possible. He is a named character. If he can achieve this much, he must surely have a rather important or memorable role. If he really is one of the named employees I know. A probing question. May I ask what kind of mask you are wearing, Captain? A new possibility has emerged. Page's agonizing scream echoed. The television screen displayed a coffee cup indicating a 30-minute break. Number 2, human. Number 2, I am human. Oh, Mr. Rowe dear. The TV guy asked solicitously, are you feeling all right? Are you ready to deliver the best broadcast yet? He calmly replied, yes, thank you for your concern. A brilliant yellow smiley face flashed along with a loud laugh. Well, Mr. Rowe dear has been working hard anyway. He has a very friendly tone. It seems the effect of the smiley stickers still lingers on the TV head's face. The plan is ready. I desire nothing else at this moment. Minseong and Hage stood there, cold sweat pouring down their faces in deep anxiety. If only the three of us can safely escape this godforsaken place. Director, there is something I must absolutely tell you. Oh, is there something you want to say to me, Rowe dear? He formulated his strategy. First, for the plan to succeed, I need to sway the director's mood. I didn't want to go this far, but I have no choice but to take a gamble. Director, you have poured so much affection and passion into your show. The TV guy gasped in surprise. Are you talking about me? Aesthetically, the studio's trendy yet glamorous atmosphere combines with the style and execution of a solid concept. In terms of direction, it showcases the versatility of a show's flow that shifts dynamically in real time as you observe the audience's reactions. Combined with your captivating commentary, it feels as though you have crafted an incredibly entertaining and truly enchanting show. Facing death, this flattery just flows out naturally. What is pride at a time like this? The MC screen displayed an extremely satisfied and blissful smile. Thoroughly pleased, he spoke. Such noble praise, I hardly know what to do with myself. After all, a broadcast is something we all create together. Rowe dear, you are a part of it too. He replied calmly. Not in that way. Because I used to truly enjoy your show, director. I am truly disappointed that the show was altered so unilaterally. He thought to himself, I must do this to turn the tables. Looking at the empty stage, he assessed. The band's audio has been significantly reduced, and the penalties have vanished. Without a live audience responding in real time, you are resorting to pre-recorded applause. This is nothing like the talk show I once knew. The waiting room was originally the director's personal space, with its walls completely plastered with posters of the talk show. Communication with the live audience through those talk show posters was done in real time. Therefore, I feel as though it was changed merely to cut production costs. Could the real reason for this reorganization be due to the casting of that guest? This broadcast format will surely leave the director utterly displeased. The television screen crackled with static, emitting a low, ghostly drone. The TV-headed man tilted his head coldly. That is not something a participant should concern themselves with. Solium broke into a cold sweat, bowing his head in apology under the suffocating pressure. He poured his heart out. I myself am a true fan of the Tuesday trivia show, so I had been looking forward to participating for a long time. He expressed profound regret. Its cancellation left me so distraught that I was unintentionally rude. The television screen shifted to a smiling face. Thank you. The entertainment world is brutal. If the audience favors this kind of format, recognizing and embracing it swiftly is the hallmark of a true entertainer. Clutching his chest, he spoke resolutely beneath the spotlight. I prefer the host's previous show. He praised. The old Tuesday trivia show brought stories of absolute authenticity by interacting with each viewer in real time. His expression was dead serious. At least to a viewer like me, the previous show was far superior. I have shared too many of my personal opinions, even though I did thoroughly enjoy the recent live broadcast. A deathly silence descended, leaving only the chromatic static buzzing from the television. Only 60 seconds remain before we resume recording. He waved his hand, urging everyone, back to your positions. Then he began to count. 10. The foundation for the plan has been fully prepared. The countdown hastened. 9-8. He stood frozen in place, his face taut with tension beneath the dim light. The rhythm quickened. 5, 4, 3, 2. The pale white head wept agonizingly upon the hanging platter. Striking the mark. 1. The screen flashed a brilliant crimson, displaying the number 100 to signal the show's resumption. In the waiting room, he bowed his head and murmured a question. Pressing his fingers against his communication button, he inquired with curiosity, what is the shape of the mask our leader is wearing? The voice on the other end confirmed, it is a lizard. Mr. Badger, it is time to deliver your final answer. Minseong stood upon the podium, drenched in sweat. Minseong's eyes wavered violently behind his bird mask, sweat dripping down amidst the suffocating weight of silence. Solium called out softly from behind to pull Minseong back to reality. Minseong was probably about to say, I don't know, preferring that instead of becoming a human instrument reduced to a mere neck, mindlessly repeating the same words. It would be better to be completely burned to ashes. However, fixing his steadfast gaze upon his teammate, give them the correct answer. It is far too early to give up. Minseong gasped, a cold sweat breaking out. It is unbelievable that in such a hair-raising crisis, Solium can still maintain such astonishing composure. The TV-headed man's voice was threatening. Mr. Badger, I will give you 3 seconds. The red spotlight beamed directly at him, pinning him to the spot in sheer terror. Squeezing his eyes shut, sweat poured from him in the silent, life-or-death moment. Number 4. Burned to ashes. Mr. Badger, that is the correct answer. The speakers roared and confetti exploded. Now, let us swiftly welcome him into our glorious choir. The filthy, pig-headed conductor brandished his butcher's knife, directing the symphony of death. The spotlight beamed upon the wooden stage, clearly illuminating the fateful list that lay there, cold and still. You mean to say that if we use the leader's special device, we can infiltrate the ghost story? The hovering ancient letter served as a silent reminder of the mad plan. He confirmed through his button. That's right. However, through the passage opened by this device, we can only send small items. He turned his back to contact the team leader. That is more than enough. Instead, with as much force as possible, the letter was ripped apart by a power that shattered perception. Please throw it with all your might. A blinding blue light exploded, tearing through the space of the Class A ghost story. The minuscule object tore through the air, smashing the conductor's vinyl record to pieces and leaving the pig-headed executioner in utter bewilderment. The metallic object ricocheted violently between the walls, tracing a streak of light that cut through the darkness. A single AAA battery. The dented battery lay rolling on the floor, a testament to the physical strike that had saved the entire team. Just as expected, a bead of cold sweat rolled down. I figured if it were Lizard, it might actually work. Lizard is. Physical exorcism still works even when you fall into a ghost story, because that is his role.
Agent des codenames, Lizard.
Final rank, Team Leader. One of the few combat specialists of the field expedition team. Renowned for his unique ability to rely solely on raw physical strength to shatter any ghost story that would normally require cognitive prowess and conceptual ideas. Some once wondered if his mind was suffering because his physical vessel was so dreadful. What terrible thing have I just done? What a ridiculous thing I have done. Seated upon a throne of pure silver, a wave of nausea welled up. Blood sprayed directly onto the dead screen of the television, staining the MC's red coat. Clenching his white-gloved hands, he growled, You have absolutely no respect for the show. Raging blue flames reduced the pig-headed executioner to ash amidst desperate screams. After all, entertainment is not about having flashy guests. It must hold true to its essence. The joy of witnessing, the Tuesday quiz show, the thrill of interaction, the suspense of unpredictable developments, and the eager anticipation of what lies ahead. You producers don't understand a single thing. You have no right to make a show. But throwing his head back, he let out a hideous laugh under the spotlight. My show can do it. Something has gone wrong. Pighead crumbled into ash. The coordinator, who should only be a rank D, burned down an entire rank A ghost story. This was not part of my plan, Muntjac. A hand suddenly reached out toward Solium. Thank you. Thanks to you, I see it now. TV tilted his head. You possess the talent of a true show creator. I look forward to seeing more from you in the future. I will certainly invite you the moment the next broadcast is ready. TV crackled with gray static, lingering on the words. However, at that moment, all 3 of them were teleported back to their room. We made it. Minseong and Hage stood in stunned silence, unable to believe they had truly escaped the jaws of death. The solitary thought that flashed through his mind was, I survived. His 2 bosses lunged forward, throwing their arms around him and crying tears of joy. You magnificent bastard. You really are a madman. I survived and escaped. Hage's eyes widened as he pointed at the glowing light. What? Sikadir, you're a collector. It's rank A. Minseong's jaw dropped in sheer admiration. You managed to clear an A-rank shadow after only 2 days on the job. The day after Kim Solium survived his first 2 hellish days of work. Where are his fellow rookies, and what are they doing? The screen displayed a meager score. Hello? Rookie Go Young-un. 66 points. Young-un murmured her assessment. Field Expedition Team R. Day 3. New rookie, Go Young-un. Unlicensed medical specialist. Cleared 2 F-rank shade shadows and currently stalled at 66 points. Comforting herself, she thought, in just 3 days, I think this is a decent enough score for a rookie, right? They said 1 or 2 a week is the average for newcomers. so I'm doing my absolute best to adapt to this insane company. Scanning the aloof office, she mused, though the superiors and team are, the team I was assigned to, aren't exactly friendly. Still, I suppose it's a blessing that the rookie hazing isn't too severe. The points required for a wish ticket amount to a staggering 500,000. It might take a lifetime to accumulate them, but I will keep going. Sighing, she stared down at her phone. I wonder if the other rookies are feeling the same way. The chat group screen popped up. Daydream Corporation. New rookie. Beksahi. Ah, now that I think about it. Surprised, she checked the rookie chat notifications. Maybe we should invite Solium too. I should try reaching out to him through the company chat. The screen lit up as a barrage of messages flooded into the main group chat. The girl's eyes widened in sheer disbelief as she read the texts. Has everyone seen the official announcement that just went up? Does anyone happen to know the rookie, Kim Solium? What on earth does it mean to clear an A-rank dungeon as the main contributor? Could it be the person wearing that strange horned mask? A gasp of utter shock escaped her lips at the unbelievable information displaying on her screen. Rumor has it that he should be promoted to supervisor immediately. At that very moment, Solium downed a bottle of cold, syrup-flavored recovery potion from the expedition team. Minseong breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing that other departments had fiercely opposed it, citing a lack of precedent for such a meteoric promotion. It's a relief, they protested, since you yourself don't want to draw too much unwanted attention. After departing the Tuesday quiz show, the entire team, bleeding profusely from their eyes, noses, and mouths, had been rushed straight to the emergency medical bay. Looking at the splattered, dried blood, he felt a quiet sense of relief that everyone had made it out alive. Minseong, still gripped by shock, let out a heavy sigh. I truly thought the entire team was going to perish in that dungeon. Minseong's face lit up with the pure joy of survival as he turned to offer his heartfelt gratitude to Ro Deer. Minseong pointed toward a table overflowing with glittering pastries, proudly patting his chest and offering to pay for the entire feast in gratitude. Solium flatly rejected him on the spot. He thought to himself, to be honest, it was the Dark Exploration record logbook that did all the heavy lifting during this past trip. Crushing her paper cup, Hage retorted coldly. It is not that our seniors were incompetent. They merely let their guard down, thinking it was but a D-rank instance. Minseong scratched his head in defense. That excuse sounds truly pathetic. Seething with murderous intent, Hage vowed to exact her revenge in the next instance. Minseong choked in fear, silently praying that such an instance would never appear. I wonder how this unprecedented incident was reported to the higher-ups. I've inquired in several places, but it seems no one knows a single thing about it. Taking a sip of water, Hage mused. I truly wish the team leader would strongly petition the higher-ups regarding this, but he is simply not the type of person to do such things. Once the deputy chief is promoted, you can make the petition for them. Hage bluntly shot back. I will hand in my resignation before that ever happens. Solium silently wished he could do the same. Hage's phone vibrated violently, cutting their conversation short. Checking her messages, she announced, the team leader's meeting has ended, and he is on his way here. Solium waited in anxious anticipation to see the face of this mysterious boss. Department head Lee Jae-hyun is one of Daydream Corporation's most famous figures in the Dark Exploration record. He is the very man who pulled off a legendary feat, using AAA batteries to destroy the music disc on the Tuesday quiz show. He is the star employee of Team D, the one who holds the formidable codename, Lizard. The sliding door slowly glided open, and the key figure made his official entrance. Minseong leaped to his feet, respectfully welcoming the tall figure. Team leader, you have arrived. Sitting beside him, Solium was startled. The intense curiosity surrounding the lizard's true identity was finally about to be unveiled. A stark white lizard face with piercing, blood-red eyes loomed into view, and a deep, warm voice echoed, Hello! Solium froze completely, his mind shattering before the utterly bizarre spectacle. While everyone laughed and chatted warmly, Solium stared blankly, a million questions flooding his mind. Minseong smiled cheerfully. The rookie is here too, and he has been waiting for you for a long time. He tried to reassure his mind. There is no way this man is an actual lizard. Perhaps, under the psychological influence of the TV head guy, my brain is mistaking a mask for an actual reptilian head. Glancing down, he discovered a shocking detail. His mask has actually been taken off. The white lizard mask was clearly dangling from his waist, not on his face at all. Minseong turned to introduce him. This is Department Head Lee Jae-hyun. Greet him quickly. Solium was utterly bewildered by everyone's nonchalant attitude. Minseong teased. Our department head must be so handsome that the rookie is completely starstruck. The lizard head turned, locking its gaze directly onto him, uttering each word with chilling clarity. Mr. Nai Ro. Crimson eyes bored into the depths of his soul, accompanied by a fatal question. Can you see me? The atmosphere grew suffocatingly tense. Solium fell utterly silent, cold sweat trickling down his cheeks. His thoughts raced in a wild frenzy as he began to doubt his own eyes. Quickly analyzing the situation. My eyes do not hurt, and my vision is perfectly normal. His survival instincts immediately kicked in. Jaehyun's sharp vertical pupils remained locked onto his slightest movement, probing the rookie's reaction. Jaehyun nodded slightly as if satisfied. Solium let out a silent sigh of relief, forcing the most natural expression he could muster to control his facial muscles. Observing the reactions around him, he realized the bitter truth. In their eyes, Lee Jaehyun is a perfectly normal and incredibly handsome man. He was at a complete loss. There is no explaining why I alone see him as a terrifying reptile. No matter what happens, I must keep this secret safe and absolutely never let it slip. Jaehyun stepped forward and announced. Then, to cut straight to the heart of the matter, I shall provide the details regarding this incident. First, the catalyst that brought about this predicament. It was the interference of another group. How on earth did we end up ensnared in the very same ghost story? The animated baby dragon bowed low in apology. It appears the Tuesday talk show was double assigned due to a clerk's blunder. Truly, no wonder they were so desperate to hasten the progress. Their starting time for writing the postcards aligned with Group D, yet they had stepped out briefly mid-task, causing a lapse of some 50 minutes. Did they cease their writing merely to fetch coffee for a novice or some such thing? In truth, that band is essentially a gathering of those who care too deeply for their own kin. A missive from the R&D team materialized. Owing to the absence of another party to cross-reference the situation, and a relatively high initial survival rate of some 43%, it remains unproven whether this darkness truly merits an A-class abyss classification. Hage's eyes flared with fury, and Minseong stood frozen in shock. Jaehyun delivered the final blow. Consequently, the petition to reevaluate the Tuesday talk show as an A-class has been denied. Hage shrieked. What? Wait, what kind of utter madness is this? An entire squad was utterly annihilated. The collector, the extracted dream essence solution clearly bore the hue of an A-class. The corporate office countered. They claim one cannot rule out the rare anomaly where a high-grade solution is distilled from a low-tier domain. Who can say for certain? Inform us when there is absolute proof. Seething with rage, Hage whirled around to demand a reckoning. This is intolerable. I cannot let this stand. I shall demand an audience with them myself. Minseong rushed to stay her hand. Deputy Chief, wait. Hold on a moment. Minseong struggled to restrain the livid Hage, then turned to Jaehyun, asking. They harvested every drop of the A-class solution. Even so, must it truly end with the mere bounty of a D rank?
Jaehyun replied softly. No.
Solium maintained a mask of absolute indifference as he listened to Jaehyun's explanation. In light of the anomalous circumstances and the reality that this trial was tantamount to an A-class descent, a discrete compensation has been sanctioned. They are essentially bribing us to hold our tongues, he mused. Solely for the unique instance of this Tuesday talk show, a one-time supplementary bounty equivalent to an A-class rating has been decreed. Minseong still held on to Hage, but both froze like statues upon hearing the sum of the reparation. Each survivor shall be granted 30,000 points. A floating plaque of honor materialized. Conquered, Mr. Kim Solium. His eyes widened in sheer astonishment as the secondary reward was announced. An additional 10,000 points shall be bestowed, yielding a grand total of 40,000 points. Minseong leaped with joy as though he had struck a vein of pure gold. 30,000. I can already hear the day of my retirement drawing 3 years closer. Hage cast a guilt-ridden look towards Solium. Points are non-transferable. I feel terribly remiss about this, Nai-ro. Minseong readily agreed that Solium had single-handedly carried their weight, but Solium merely offered a gentle smile. No, it is quite all right. An animation of Solium steering a toy train to flee the encroaching shadow monsters played. In truth, leaving no record of an A-class conquest is far more advantageous, he calculated. Even if I were to ascend the ranks at lightning speed, I would only find myself cast into even more nightmarish tales. Bear this truth deep within your heart. This is a realm where a single misstep demands your life as forfeit. Hage sighed wistfully, lamenting the points that had slipped into their superior's grasp, muttering that even if transfer were possible, the overseers would never permit it, before urging him to inspect his score at once. He pondered upon those desperate souls who wagered their very lives for a mere sliver of a wishing ticket. Naturally, each harbors their own hidden designs. Hage leaned in close, whispering to ask if he recalled how to register his points as she had demonstrated before. To them, these points were as precious as lifeblood itself. Holding their collective breath, the three of them locked their gazes onto the glowing screen. The screen illuminated with the words, Rookie Kim Solium, alongside an astronomical figure, 41,100 points. He gasped in disbelief. It truly has been manifested. He calculated the sum in mute shock. The bounty for clearing a mundane F-rank trial is a mere 100 points. Yet this staggering sum of tens of thousands was not divided among the rest. With this single feat, I have amassed 8% of the tribute required to claim the wishing ticket. Hage cast a knowing glance at Minseong, who nodded back in silent accord. Paige turned her gaze toward team leader Jaehyun, who stood silently beside them, her eyes brimming with intense curiosity and unvoiced questions. Jubilant at having survived and struck a veritable fortune in points, Paige eagerly proposed a celebration. Meanwhile, Solium remained preoccupied, quietly searching through his coat pockets. Paige's eyes sparkled with sheer delight. How about the entire squad goes out for that feast of grilled meat? The group gathered at a roadside barbecue joint, where a warm, lively golden glow spilled onto the street. Just as he reached for the tongs, Minseong snatched them away. Let me do the grilling. A rookie shouldn't be the one handling the tongs at their very first welcome dinner. Minseong offered a cheerful warning. They'll work you to the bone soon enough, so just eat to your heart's content today and don't worry about a thing. He stole a glance, thinking silently that he was hardly concerned about them. Sweating profusely, he told himself, I just need to look away to avoid the gaze of the person sitting across from me. He was confronted by a bizarre reality. The other members of the squad clearly did not see the terrifying lizard face that loomed before his eyes. Taking a sip of his drink, he decided the gathering wasn't half bad. The warmth of the alcohol helped soothe his flickering anxiety. Watching the meat sizzle on the grill, a wave of nostalgia washed over him, recalling the exhausting client dinners from his former job. He marveled silently. How long has it been since I last enjoyed such a warm, comforting meal alongside true comrades? He began plotting his plans for the night. Once I'm back in the dorms, I'll binge-watch some cheerful children's cartoons, then leave the lights on to sleep and ward off the fear. Suddenly, the voice calling Nai Ro severed his train of thought. Startled to his core, he met the piercing, fixed glare of his boss's lizard face, who asked, Do you have no intention of using the 40,000 points you received this time? Solium scratched his head in embarrassment. I planned to save my points for a wish coupon. Paige playfully poured some water, teasing. A rookie shouldn't be the one holding the tongs at their very first welcome dinner. He turned to offer his thanks, while Section Chief Jaehyun nodded in understanding. The atmosphere plunged into sudden silence. Solium and Jaehyun locked eyes without blinking, weaving a suffocating tension across the dinner table. Summoning all his courage, he broke the chilling silence. Chief, do you have any recommendations on how I should spend my points? The lizard entity replied with a monosyllabic, yes. It occurred to him that he had finally learned how to operate the lizard chief. A command line interface flickered in his mind. To receive a response from the lizard, please input an appropriate prompt. From the perspective of the others, Jaehyun's handsome face was etched with deep contemplation. What would be the best use for those points? Jaehyun fell silent for a moment, his sharp gaze piercing the empty air as though weighing a monumental decision. He suddenly spoke, his voice deep and warm yet commanding, custom equipment. A ripple of shock washed over Solium. He had never expected such crucial intelligence to be casually dropped by the chief in a humble roadside barbecue joint. It heralded the explanation of one of the core survival mechanics for the employees of the Daydream Corporation. The briefcase erupted in a dazzling, blinding brilliance, unveiling the next pivotal concept, personal gear. A comical animation illustrated the corporation thrusting its employees into haunted anomalies to harvest essence, instantly raising a paramount question. Would every last employee perish in the high-level instances, rendering the harvesting of elixirs utterly impossible? The hand of power, holding the radiant stream of energy, explained the law of survival. The higher your rank, the more potent the specialized gear you wield. That is your personal gear. This gear, of course, does not bestow upon its wielder the absolute, godlike abilities of the entities born from ghost stories. In truth, it merely offers a slight enhancement to one's own unique attributes. Solium gazed out the window at the night sky. Since this was mere supportive exploration gear, information on it was scarce. He himself possessed only a fleeting grasp of its parameters. Jaehyun led the squad down the corridors of the annex, a facility dedicated to isolating ghost stories that were relatively safe and possessed utilitarian value. An antique radio materialized as a prime example. A ghost story capable of divining daily fortune, a useful anomaly classified and secured in isolation. Paige turned back to enlighten the recruit. The corporation officially designates these useful ghost stories under a unique classification, Twilight Grade. An inverted pyramid hierarchy diagram illustrated the concept clearly. Though categorized as E-class, the Twilight designation is reserved exclusively for anomalies that are highly utilitarian, possessing power superior to D-class, yet posing less danger than F-class. Even custom gear can be crafted through a specific Twilight Grade shadow owned by the company. Indeed, they use those ghost stories to forge them. He searched his memory. If I remember correctly, the Twilight Grade ghost stories used by the field expedition team to forge their equipment are the Joy Labs Toymaker Cthulhu E07, the Kind Seed Kit Cthulhu E99, and the Memorial Service Cthulhu E404. These three. He wondered to himself, I wonder which of those ghost stories I will use. Ah, there they are. An employee? Presumably? Minseong declared their identity. We are Team D of the field expedition team, here to train a recruit. We request access to Twilight Grade Shadow 99. The receptionist nodded in silent assent without uttering a single word. The massive iron door behind them rumbled to life, slowly grinding open. Solium caught a glimpse of his own reflection in the receptionist's sunglasses as he stepped through. The group stepped into a long, frigid corridor, cast in the harsh light of fluorescent bulbs beaming straight down upon the floor. We have arrived. Before them stood a heavily reinforced metal door marked with the number 99. He gazed intently at the bizarre apparatus before him. This is the Kind Seed Kit, a ghost story recorded in the Shadow Expedition log. Its Daydream Company designation code is KRU-E99, a ghost story that treats inanimate objects as vegetation, extracting their genetic data to crossbreed and cultivate them. It operates by utilizing moonlight as power. A warning was emblazoned on the machine's chassis. Inserting plants is strictly forbidden. Please give me a plant. It is a shadow that our department uses almost exclusively. It takes in 2 items, synthesizes them, and births a brand new object. Do you need points to use this? He asked, curious. The reply came in a flat, even tone. Yes, you must pay a fee to activate a Twilight Grade shadow in the annex. For your reference, each use costs 1,000 points. Solium's eyes widened in utter disbelief. If this gear is essential for shadow expeditions, shouldn't the company be providing it? He grumbled in protest. Well, once you become a supervisor, you get to use it for free twice a year. Most people simply wait until their promotion before touching it. Besides, it takes a year at most to rise to supervisor. Solium silently weighed the pros and cons of climbing the ranks. What will you do, Nairo? He hesitated. Spending 1,000 points in one go felt like an absolute waste. Yet, there must be a reason why Department Head Lee Jae-hyun deemed this so useful. He convinced himself. If a veteran with an exceptional survival rate offers specific advice, heed it. Increasing my initial chances of survival is paramount. Turning to face his colleague, determination flared in his eyes. I will try it now. Splendid. Just as the deputy head mentioned earlier, if you place 2 items into this shadow, it will forge a new one, coalescing the properties of both. Thus, it would be highly beneficial if your base materials possess useful, specialized traits. The original items will not vanish, so rest easy. He nodded. Understood. I have reviewed the entry in the anomaly log. His hand slipped into his pocket, brushing against his phone and a button marked with a golden X. Minseong flashed a bright, reassuring smile to the recruit. Even if you lack any useful materials at the moment, worry not. Loaning items for a rookie's first gear assembly is a time-honored tradition in our team. Alternatively, you can pay a fee to borrow other equipment. Both turned their gaze toward Jae-hyun. Minseong suggested eagerly, Chief, your gear is the finest among us. Could you draw it out and let us have a look? Jae-hyun's hand stirred, reaching decisively into his vest pocket to retrieve the item. It is a butter knife. If you use this to slice through a medium entering the shadow, you can rend space itself to teleport small objects. The gleaming blade rested neatly atop a stack of aged documents. Solium held the small knife, lost in contemplation. So this was how he threw those AAA batteries to me during the Tuesday game show. If only it were defensive gear, that would have been ideal, but alas, it is not. Could you too possibly? Minseong scratched his cheek, offering a sheepish smile. Me? My gear can only perform a few simple tricks. Paige stood solemnly, 2 buttons hovering above her head. Solium observed silently. Those are the buttons seen in that game show before. Neither of them possesses any defensive gear. As for these 2 items, I believe I can find something similar at the alien store. Then, in this case, he spoke up. I would like to borrow your gear, Captain. The butter knife was placed upon the scanning platform, which was radiating a brilliant green light. He stared intently down at the platform as a blinding red light suddenly flared to life. Prompt chimed. Please insert the items you desire now. The control screen flashed a crimson warning banning all plant matter, alongside a green line of text requesting, please provide a plant. Loading. Leaning against the door with arms crossed, Paige warned in a stern voice. However, you must absolutely never insert real plants. She added cautionarily, the sensors at the door will filter out all organic plant matter anyway, but I am warning you just in case. The scanner screen flashed its warning once more. Strictly forbidden to insert plants. Please provide a plant. Solium's gaze drifted toward the patch of white daisies and wildflowers by the wall. Come to think of it, are the weeds here actually fake flowers? His face instantly tensed with dread, cold sweat trickling down his cheek as a horrific memory flooded back. I remember now. The monitor displayed the discovery log. The Good Seed Kit Ghost Story. Expedition log number 14. Staff member are uprooted weeds, believed to be wild dandelions growing near the dark zone, and fed them into the machine twice. Consequently, redacted entity burst forth with a grotesque shriek, followed by lines of entirely censored information. The top of the page was completely obscured by bloody red censorship bars. It took the security force 7 days to complete the suppression. All 3 individuals present, including staff member R, were confirmed deceased. Management has confirmed the absolute eradication of all plants. Recurrence will result in disciplinary action and termination. The icon of a pitch-black machine smeared with fresh blood appeared, accompanied by a mocking message. Thank you. A shiver ran down his spine. To think such a terrifying expedition log actually existed. Jaehyun, holding a small scalpel, explained, usually, one places a normal, easy-to-use item in the other slot, though supernatural properties may only be weakly inherited, if at all. Even if that is the case, I will accept the outcome. The items flickered into view one after another, passing even a cookie adorned with a sticker. He calculated silently. I possess quite a few supernatural items, but the highest grade item among them is likely this yellow smiley face sticker pack. Solium opened his palm, revealing a gleaming silver coin. I intend to use this. It is the silver coin I purchased at the alien shop. Jaehyun stared intently at the coin and pressed. What is that? He replied calmly. Just a souvenir from my travels. It brings a strangely auspicious feeling. Minseong leaned in to get a closer look and remarked. It seems highly portable, and looks decent enough. Paige stood behind them, arms crossed, observing. Jaehyun's crimson eyes locked onto Solium. The youth wondered anxiously. Has that lizard already realized this is a supernatural item? But he quickly reassured himself. Then again, this is a world rife with ghost stories anyway. He slipped the silver coin into the scanning slot, which pulsed with green light. Even if I am carrying a supernatural item, I only need to claim ignorance of its true nature. Besides, since it is merely a coin, it shouldn't arouse much suspicion. Upon receiving the command, 2 circular buttons on the control panel flared with a sharp crimson light. The familiar warning flashed across the screen. Strictly forbidden to insert plants. Please provide the gardener's information. Understanding suddenly dawned upon him. So that is why this is called a customization device. A beam of green light swept across Solium's solemn face. Requiring a guardian to nurture the plant, the device began scanning its owner's genetic profile. Verification complete. The machinery shattered violently, its dials spinning in a frenzied whirl. The monitor flashed, combining genetic sequence, synthesizing kit. A blinding green light erupted from the apparatus, swallowing Solium and his companions standing witness. As the hazy white smoke drifted away, a new notification materialized. Sewing complete. At the base of the colossal machine, a congratulatory message flickered onto the screen. Your very first customization, Nairo. Eun-hage advised him to head home and test his new weapon there. She reminded him that, easily overlooked though it might be, they were still trapped inside a ghost story. She offered a gentle smile, telling him he had worked truly hard today. Noting his weariness, she advised him to get some good rest and said she would see him tomorrow. The soft click of the closing door returned Kim Solium to the quiet sanctuary of his own room. Breathing a soft sigh of relief, he sat down on the bed and reached into his coat pocket to retrieve the newly crafted item. It was the fruit of the 2 items he had used for gene combination within the kind seed kit. One was the butter knife borrowed from the lizard department head, and the other was the silver snake coin he had purchased from the alien store to serve as the base item. The custom weapon forged from combining these 2 extraordinary items was... But wait, how on earth did one activate this toy? He stared blankly at the coin in his palm. He silently prayed this gamble hadn't failed, leaving him with a useless toy coin. At the thought of the 1,000 accumulated points that had just vanished into thin air, a sharp pang of regret pierced his heart. Suddenly realizing something, he let out a soft gasp and readied himself to test it. If it was indeed a coin, surely the most natural way to use it was to flip it like this. The silver coin spun rapidly in the air, scattering shimmering shards of light across the room. Suddenly, a translucent white hand emerged from within the coin and reached outward, and then pointed its index finger straight ahead with absolute decisiveness. Kim Solium stared in astonishment at the bizarre hand hovering before him, utterly bewildered by what was unfolding. The hand gestured by forming a circle, as if demanding a coin be inserted. He wondered blankly if it was asking him to feed it money. He tried tossing a 101 coin, but the hand instantly swatted it away. As expected, it didn't work. He switched to a 501 coin. The hand snatched it up with joy, accompanied by floating heart symbols. It turned out the core of the issue lay in the denomination. Having received sufficient payment, the translucent hand surged toward him at breakneck speed. It began to merge as one with his own hand. It entered my hand and fused with it, he thought. Upon the carpet, a strange circle of darkness manifested, casting a faint, ethereal white glow. He felt an incredibly bizarre sensation wash over him. He began to command the hand to rise, moving in perfect harmony with each twitch of Kim Solium's fingers as he sat upon the bed. Was this the true function of this customized equipment? Kim Solium gazed thoughtfully down at his clenched fist, his expression solemn and deeply contemplative. The invisible hand of shadow clenched in the exact same manner. It mirrors the movements of my hand. Perhaps it can be called a third hand. In that case, he decided to test a few other interesting tricks with his new toy. Concentrating deeply, Kim Solium guided the shadow hand to grasp an ink pen, meticulously writing word after word onto the blank sheet of paper before him. Its strength and precision perfectly match my own level. Can even write. Upon the page, a neatly penned sentence appeared, asking when he would finally be able to resign. He could open or close doors, and he could apply force to twist open a bottle cap. Its operational range extended to a radius of roughly 3 meters. He mused that he could now turn off the lights without even leaving the comfort of his bed. The pitch-black hand slowly dissolved into the circle of light on the floor, its manifestation lasting a mere 5 seconds. Transcending the spatial boundaries between reality and shadow, though it differed from the butter knife of Lizard Department head Lee Jae-hyun, this artifact held its own unique wonders. Instead, it felt more like a handy tool pulled straight from a ghost story. At the very least, I would no longer have to lay bare hands upon suspicious objects. This was undoubtedly a triumphant draw. Kim Solium's inventory now boasted a new custom weapon coin, resting alongside familiar relics like the Smiley stickers and the Alice picnic set. 500 coins for a mere 5 seconds of telekinesis was not a bad bargain. I have invested 1,000 accumulated points in you, so you had best prove your worth. Solium sank back onto his pillow, his eyes half closed in sheer relief. He realized his body felt surprisingly revitalized, likely because the ordeal had concluded in peace. He comforted himself with the thought that, at the very least, fortune had smiled upon him regarding his companions. Supervisor Park Min-seong, who had kept his composure even in the shadow of impending death, and Deputy Leader Eun Haege, who harbored enough trust to lend her own gear to a mere rookie in the throes of crisis. And without Deputy Leader Eun Haege's trust, I would never have secured the aid of Department Head Lee Jae-hyun. Recalling the shared meals with his colleagues, he wondered how many more bizarre horrors awaited him, yet felt a quiet confidence that he would endure them all. Closing his weary eyes, he resolved that he could silently endure and adapt to the strange, new existence. Yet, such were the naive thoughts of youth before reality dashed them with a cold shock. Deputy Leader Haege sat upon the sofa, cradling a steaming mug of coffee as she called out his codename. "Hey, Ro dear." Her expression turned grave as she delivered a bombshell. Their entire team was about to be reassigned. Solium blinked in utter bewilderment. "Pardon. Forget it." Reassignment usually only befell those who had dedicated years of service, accumulating enough experience to earn a promotion or a transfer to another division. In other words, Solium stood frozen, his face darkening as imaginary lightning crackled around him, for he had only been on the job for a mere 3 days. Eun Haege regarded him with a gaze of mingled sympathy and helplessness. "I know, kid." She asked if he had seen the official notice posted that very day, deepening his bewilderment. Upon the screen flickered a special commendation for the employees who had brilliantly resolved the crisis of the Tuesday quiz show. A cartoon orange fox gave an enthusiastic double thumbs up, congratulating the team that had clinched an A rank and amassed a whopping 100,000 bonus points. A golden dragon showered confetti, urging everyone to disregard their lives and plunge headfirst into ghost stories to seize such massive rewards. A graphic of Team D's 3 members, depicted as masked chibi figures standing atop a mountain of glittering gold coins, served as a shining beacon for the entire company. The text prominently displayed the name of the primary contributor who was awarded 40,000 points, Kim Solium, prompting him to gasp in sheer disbelief. "This is insane." Cold sweat beaded on his forehead. Helpless as his name was paraded publicly for all to see, he wondered what kind of reassignment could possibly come of this. Haege leveled a heavy, pressuring gaze at him. "Have you seen it?" "I asked if you've seen it yet." "Yes, I see it." In the background, Park Min-seong collapsed in utter despair, anxiously inquiring if they were to be banished elsewhere, only to be answered by the deputy leader's weary, heavy sigh. Draining her glass of water, Haege casually remarked that the team's workload would only shift slightly. Setting the manual down upon the table, she explained that until now, the team had almost exclusively ventured into ghost stories that possessed complete, pre-written guides. With a decisive tear, she ripped the guide in half before their eyes, emphasizing that the shadow zone they were about to enter from now on would offer no such manuals. Cold sweat beaded on Kim Solium's brow as he watched the shredded paper drift through the air, realizing their superiors were essentially casting them into entirely uncharted ghost stories with absolutely zero information. Eun Haege continued to grumble about how the higher-ups always thrust their workers into harsher trials simply because they performed well, while those bureaucrats did nothing but idle at their desks, tapping their pens. At that moment, the sliding door hissed open. "Greetings, team leader. Have you seen the announcement? Demanding that we venture into the shadow zone without a guide. How is this any different from sentencing us to death? HM? No, that is not the case. What? Is there truly a loophole we can exploit?" Staring ahead with eyes of blazing crimson, Jae-hyun delivered a cold, harsh truth. Death still claimed lives even within ghost stories that possessed complete guides. Haege and Min-seong's faces instantly fell, utterly speechless at the department head's point-blank, unhelpful response. Questioned about the peril of lacking a guide, Lee Jae-hyun casually tore another document to shreds, claiming he saw no difference at all. Eun-hae could only sigh in sheer helplessness before a man who relied solely on brute force to shatter any trial in his path. Is there any boon to be gained from this shift in our duties? Indeed, there is. Additional bonus points will be distributed. Is it substantial, team leader? Substantial indeed. The department head further explained that compared to shadow zones of the same tier, this mission yielded 3 to 4 times the standard points, with a maximum multiplier reaching up to 15-fold. Instantly, the eyes of the other two transformed into sparkling bonus point symbols. Kim Solium watched with growing unease as his companions muttered calculations of their potential fortunes. To him, they looked no different from depraved gamblers, leaving him wondering if he ought to intervene. Yet, he suddenly paused, realizing this was no reckless gamble. Victory was assured, thanks to the Shadow Exploration archives recorded within the encyclopedia he held in his possession. A confident smile brushed his lips. To him, this was nothing short of a free triple-point event. Ablaze with fierce determination, the team marched forward in unison, ready for the bountiful hunt that awaited them. The elevator chimed, signaling their arrival, and the group resolved to begin their journey by ascending to the 17th floor first. As they walked, Eun-hae briefed the team on the building's layout. Floors 17 through 19 were primarily occupied by the development department. In particular, the 17th floor was a sleek, state-of-the-art research corridor unfolded before them, lined with laboratory chambers bathed in an ethereal blue glow. This was the sanctuary of the researchers who sought out new shadow zones. Suddenly, a drawn-out voice drifted from ahead, capturing the team's attention. Department head Jae-hyun and Solium turned their gazes toward the silhouette slowly turning around to face them. Is this the famed rookie everyone has been whispering about? Solium stared at the speaker with a look of mild resignation, muttering to himself that he had somehow become a celebrity of sorts. A slender hand suddenly extended toward him, offering a handshake. For some strange reason, I have a premonition that this endeavor. The face of a silver-haired, spectacled male employee came into view, carrying a warm smile. He silently thought, is not going to be easy either. The two stood facing each other in the heart of the 17th floor corridor, one observing with vigilant caution, the other warmly awaiting a polite handshake. Kim Solium's eyes narrowed slightly in suspicion. Who is this? The silver-haired man narrowed his eyes into a knowing smile, his bearing radiating absolute confidence and composure. I am Kwak Jagang from Research Team 1. It is a pleasure to meet you. Solium's eyes widened in sheer astonishment upon hearing that familiar name. Kwak Jagang? Quickly regaining his composure, he managed a polite nod. Ah yes, I look forward to working with you. He bowed deeply, a perfect 90-degree gesture of utmost respect, before extending his hand. I am Kim Solium. Jagang let out a hearty, amused chuckle. Oh my, how polite. Hage leaned in, whispering with a mischievous glint in her eyes. Don't be intimidated. He's just a lowly department head. Cold sweat beaded on Solium's brow as he thought to himself. Aren't you just a deputy chief yourself? No, the reason for his shock had nothing to do with the man's rank. Jagang turned on his heel and walked away with an effortless, graceful stride, his silver hair shimmering softly under the corridor lights. It was because yet another legendary figure had crossed his path. The system interface flickered to life, displaying detailed information. Researcher Kwak Jagang, member of Research Team 1, Materials Development Division of the Daydream Corporation, featured in the Chronicles of the Abyss Exploration. One of the researchers most frequently cited in the ancestral records of pioneering newly discovered dark zones. A rare anomaly amongst his peers, recorded explicitly as cheerful and sociable. And yet, Solium quietly watched the researcher's retreating figure, reminding himself, for now, just act natural. Within the miniature animated interface, Jagang offered a cheerful greeting. Well now, Chief Lee Jae-hyun. It seems we shall be crossing paths quite often from here on out. Lee Jae-hyun blinked in bewilderment. Is that so? The system flashed a prompt, requiring a command input to extract an answer from the lizard. Curiously, Kim Solium inquired, could you tell me why? Lee Jae-hyun replied curtly, of course. Jagang explained, Research Team 1 is tasked with forging a path into the new dark zone. As for the actual exploration, well, that falls upon Team D. In truth, once Team D completed their expedition and submitted their reports, the data would be compiled into survival guides for those who followed in their footsteps. Solium cast a calm glance, silently concluding, so, this department is the one that dictates our assignments. Looking upon the members of Team D, Jagang offered a brilliant smile through his thick lenses. Welcome, Team D, to the Research Division. Jae-hyun clutched the folder, his voice ringing with authority as he ordered the team to double-check their gear and thoroughly study the escape logs of their predecessors. Suddenly, a torrent of murderous intent erupted from Hage. She muttered bitterly about the desk jockey bureaucrats who did nothing but run their mouths. Standing behind her, Minseong frantically whispered, pleading with his senior to mask her expressions before she gave them away. Cutting through the rising chatter, Solium turned his head slightly. Excuse me. A supervisor surnamed Lee leaned forward in his swivel chair, a provocative smirk playing on his lips as he invited Solium to wager on the exact threat level of this dark zone. Upon his computer screen, the betting odds were displayed in plain view. Seeing Solium's blank expression, the man casually coaxed him to join their little office wager, claiming it was all in good fun. In response to the invitation, Solium turned away without a second thought, throwing back a frigid reply, "No, thank you." The rejection left the supervisor utterly frozen in embarrassment. Solium glanced back at Jagang, who stood there grinning, making no effort to rein in his subordinate. If an auditor ever catches wind of this, they are finished, Solium thought. What kind of leader condones such blatant misconduct? Noticing Solium's disapproval, Jagang let out a hearty laugh and waved his hand dismissively. Oh, where's the harm? It's just a friendly wager. No one's going to die from it. Having been thoroughly ignored, Supervisor Lee's expression soured. He sneered, mocking Solium's bravery for remaining completely unfazed. This was a professional workplace, yet they were acting with utter impunity. I was only joking, of course. Leafing through a stack of documents, he confidently explained that this dark zone posed no lethal threat, seeing as a multitude of civilians had entered and escaped unharmed. Yet, the Bureau of Disaster Management was relentlessly pressuring them to shut it down. The company's planning division had to pull countless strings just to keep the incident under wraps. Minseong handed the expedition file to Solium. Taking it, Solium reminded himself that his top priority now was to comprehend the nature of the abyss he was about to plunge into. Flipping through the pages, Solium analyzed the data. If mere civilians could escape it, then at its absolute worst, this is merely a Twilight-tier dark zone. Nothing to lose sleep over. But as his eyes scanned the keywords, cold sweat began to pour down his neck. Video platform? A clown? Something felt profoundly wrong. Right at that moment, Jagang held out a tablet, a video queued up and ready to play. If you are ready, please take a look at this. Upon the screen, the portrait of a bloated clown with a grotesquely painted face emerged beneath the dim light, surrounded by hovering, blood-red musical notes that seemed to cage him. The lens suddenly zoomed in close, his grin stretching agonizingly from ear to ear. The clown's face contorted in sheer madness as his laughter grew louder and more savage, unleashing a terrifying wave of pressure that crashed directly against the viewer. What in the blazes was this? A raw, crimson, and calloused hand suddenly shot out from the screen, clutching Solium's shoulder in a vice grip and startling him violently. That monstrous hand dragged Solium ruthlessly into a slimy, pink spatial vortex. In that fleeting instant, he realized he had walked straight into a trap. Seeing Solium being dragged away, Jagang merely arched an eyebrow and let out a soft, intrigued, "Oh." Instead of offering a hand, that bastard flashed a bright grin and waved, "Have a pleasant trip." Solium could only howl in bitter, helpless fury. With the fiendish hand squeezing his head and dragging him deeper into the vortex, Solium screamed in utter despair, begging to cancel this cursed triple-point event. He thrashed and shrieked, "I'm not going." Yet his only answer was the clown's savage laughter echoing throughout the shifting dimension. The scenery shifted. Upon the crimson wall, a silver-bordered portrait frame emerged, bearing the words, "Pierrot the clown hates you." The system chimed, declaring this to be a ghost story bearing an identification code ending in 210, registered under the Daydream Corporation. Plunging into the dark abyss, Solium, now bearing the codename Rodeer, narrowed his sharp eyes behind his crimson mask, striving to maintain his composure to assess the situation. His gaze sharpened with intense vigilance, his pupils shrinking as he realized the sheer, eerie malice of the surrounding space. The entire squad stood in a seemingly endless corridor, where both walls were cluttered with countless portraits of clowns, all staring down at them. Look closely, that was no ordinary clown makeup. Grotesquely, those were the forced grins of unfortunate victims whose facial muscles had been violently contorted, their mouths torn open to mimic the visage of a clown. Hage advanced with an expressionless face, noting that the missing would gradually be transformed into these hideous portraits lining the walls. Solium fell deep into thought. To be fair, a horror film of this caliber or an atmosphere this dreadfully chilling was hard to come by in the outside world. But he instantly cast the thought aside. Enraged by the violent manner in which he had been cast into this place, he cursed under his breath. Had it been anyone else, they would have been utterly paralyzed with fear. Yet, looking over at Hage, she merely crossed her arms, scanned the area, and casually remarked, "It's not as dark as I expected. Not too bad." Solium was left utterly speechless. Standing in the pitch-black corridor, Falcon softly asked if the squad should wait for their eyes to adjust to the gloom. Lizard calmly replied, "Indeed, everyone, close your eyes for a moment." Badger eagerly agreed in an instant. Only Rodeer broke into a cold sweat, thoroughly bewildered as he thought, "Wait, Are these people actually serious? Gazing down the corridor lined with grotesque portraits that seemed ready to devour him whole, Deer could not believe his comrades were choosing to shut their eyes in a place of such dire peril. Badger even turned to clap him on the shoulder, urging him to shut his eyes. Helplessly, Deer complied, silently lamenting that this crew was utterly beyond hope. Peering through half-closed lids at the portraits on the walls, Deer came to a grim realization. His comrades, and that lizard too, were nothing but a band of fearless lunatics. He pictured this squad in a horror theater. Badger would surely doze off, Lizard would nonchalantly munch on popcorn, and Falcon would be chatting away. They possessed an utter contempt for danger. Badger casually remarked while flipping through documents. Word has it that if we pierce these portraits, they'll leap out and crawl after us. His tone was as nonchalant as someone reading a dinner menu. Falcon raised a hand to add that a few fortunate civilians had managed to return alive through the vacant frames. Lizard nodded, absorbing the intel. Then, with chilling composure, Lizard issued a daring command. Stab every single portrait you see. Falcon eagerly accepted the order, poised to flee should chaos erupt. The squad nonchalantly distributed their tasks as if preparing for a leisurely stroll, with Badger tossing in a reckless remark. These monsters crawl dreadfully slow, we'll be fine. Deer could only suffer in stunned silence. Falcon sidled up, eagerly pointing to the wall above to beckon him. Hey, Nairo, do you see that clown with the bizarre eyes? Looks just like a movie poster, doesn't it? He patted his youngest comrade's shoulder, egging him on. Open your eyes and have a look. Nairo slowly opened his eyes and looked up. Looming over him was the grotesque portrait of the clown, its eyes blazing with a fierce white light like a flame, staring down intently. Badger coldly remarked that the description matched the missing person. That was the fate of anyone who perished here. Nairo stood rooted to the spot. Seeing the recruit frozen, Falcon curiously coaxed him. Well, do you want to try touching that painting first? Nairo didn't even deign to reply to this fatal proposition. A waiting notification flickered in the silent void. Nairo's patience seemed to have run dry. He suddenly whirled around. With a sharp, deadly serious gaze, he declared resolutely, I have found a way to escape. All three of his comrades turned to look at him, their eyes filled with utter shock and astonishment. Falcon's jaw dropped in disbelief. They had barely been there for 5 minutes. Ignoring everyone, Nairo resolutely refused to look back. There was only one way for a coward like him to survive among these madmen. A crimson screen flashed with words like a steely clarion call. Let's go. Solium's lightning escape had officially begun. Holding a glittering silver coin in his hand, his goal was to conquer the speed trial. With a light flick of his finger, the coin soared upward, tracing a beautiful arc of light through the darkness. It spun rapidly in midair, radiating a mystical and potent pale pink aura. Out of the billowing white smoke, a pale hand emerged, waving cheerfully like an old friend. Hage crossed his arms curiously. Is that your exclusive gear? Nairo nonchalantly tugged his collar and replied, Yes, but I need one more thing. He opened his palm, revealing a handful of 501 coins glistening like a miniature treasure to serve as fuel to activate his skill. Instantly, a barrage of 501 donation notifications exploded brilliantly like fireworks, maximally buffing the power of the shadow hand. He continuously flicked the coins to maintain the energy of his weapon. He explained that this was a custom weapon effect, remotely controllable as long as he put in money. The team watched in awe as the giant hand glided ahead to scout. Minseong wondered if it was necessary for the plan. Nairo nodded without hesitation, asserting that this was the core element. He analyzed swiftly. This corridor is not just for decoration. Among these countless paintings, only one is the true exit. Minseong pointed at the gloomy clown. So those paintings that crawled out to pounce on us earlier were fakes? Nairo replied, Exactly. He instructed the team. Only look for the painting matching my description, and when I give the signal, everyone must bolt. While waiting, Nairo could only clasp his hands and pray that this boss of his would be a little less insane. Fortunately, Lizard nodded in agreement without hesitation. Seeing his boss tolerantly listening to a recruit for the first time, Nairo was immensely grateful. Let's listen to him just this once. Ready for a marathon with his superhuman boss. I am sorry, seniors. He broke into a cold sweat, feeling guilty because, in truth, there was no need to run for dear life at all. Clearing this trial was a piece of cake. All one had to do was stroll leisurely and gently touch the correct painting. But alas, a coward like him dared not touch the monsters with his bare hands. Consequently, when he touched the correct painting of Pierrot the clown weeping bitterly, in this accursed domain, escaping as swiftly as possible was the only absolute truth. The digital display showed Team D's expedition into the new zone had lasted exactly 4 minutes and 29 seconds. The lightning-fast race to escape had officially begun. Inside the control room, a curious staff member asked Kwok Jigang which tier this dark zone belonged to. Jigang offered a knowing smile, reminding Supervisor Lee, who ran the betting pools, to keep his mouth shut and ensure no word leaked out. Supervisor Lee turned away with a sour scowl, muttering in frustration at being so publicly reprimanded by his superior. He cursed inwardly. Normally, the old boss would eagerly join in on the wagers, yet today he had suddenly chosen to be a spoilsport. Yet in truth, what made his blood boil the most was not his boss, but rather that insolent rookie on the field expedition team. His face darkened with sheer malice. The memory of Solium's cold, contemptuous gaze flashed in his mind. He gritted his teeth. I was kind enough to invite him, yet that brat dared to ignore me completely, and even had the audacity to glare at me. He vented his wrath upon the keyboard, clacking furiously. Nothing but a mere lab rat, yet you dare put on airs? In the anonymous chat room, he typed with violent keystrokes. I bet 10 points on rank D. Let that bastard rot and die in there. The blare of the intercom summoning him to submit his report only stoked his fury further. He was drowning in work. Why should he have to cater to those suicidal grunts? Glancing up at the clock, he sneered. There was no way the trash of Team D would escape before clock-out time. Scanning the research documents, he scoffed at the utter stupidity of internet users. How could they see a suspicious 5-second ad titled, "The Clown Hates You" on WebTube and, instead of closing it, stare right into it, only to be dragged into the dark zone? And yet, a few fortunate souls had managed to crawl back alive. According to their testimonies, they had escaped by leaping into an empty picture frame discarded by the clown. The catch, however, was that the corridor stretched into infinity, lined with a billion frames of every conceivable shape and size. Worse, the accounts of each survivor regarding the correct frame's location were worlds apart. The only way out was trial and error one by one. And with every wrong touch, a horde of monstrous clowns would awaken, swarming to tear them limb from limb. The explorers would be forced into a relentless cycle of flight and combat, fighting to the point of utter exhaustion just to find the exit. A sinister smirk spread across Lee's face. Running around in circles until they drop. Someone is bound to die. Solium, you brat, your time has come. Back in the research department, Jigang had just opened his mouth to declare, they are as good as dead, when suddenly, a jubilant cry from Team D echoed through the room. We're out. We made it. Jigang's face froze, petrified. Cold sweat broke out as he stammered, utterly unable to believe his eyes. While Jigang was still in a daze, Hage and Minseong were already clamoring to treat Solium to desserts and drinks to celebrate his sheer brilliance, while their lizard boss asked in utter bewilderment, wait, is it time to go home already? Jigang stared blankly at the clock. It was 2:41 p.m. From the moment they had been dragged in, a mere 26 minutes had passed. How on earth could they conquer and completely purge a dark zone in under 30 minutes? Agitated, he pressed the lizard, demanding to know if he had once again resorted to raw brute force, shattering the very fabric of space to clear the zone. He pointed toward their youngest member. It wasn't us. That kid carried the entire team. Solium calmly adjusted his gloves, offering a polite, diplomatic smile. It is a pleasure to see you again, Chief. Jigang muttered in disbelief. Could a mere rookie truly achieve such a feat? Hage proudly boasted that on his very first day on the job, the boy was in a league of his own in the exact same spectacular fashion. Jigang let out a low grunt, adjusting the bridge of his glasses as his razor-sharp gaze began to dissect Solium, scrutinizing him as if he were some bizarre, otherworldly creature. He demanded the rookie explain the mechanism of breaching the trial. Solium gave a crisp nod. He began his analysis. The key lay within the promotional title that led into the dark zone. Pierrot the Clown Hates You. Most lumped all jesters into a single category of clowns. But Pierrot was a breed apart. A common clown was colorful and exuberant, seeking to amuse the masses with petty tricks and juggling acts. Pierrot, however, was a French pantomime. His visage was painted in stark black and white, his expression forever sorrowful with a single tear etched upon his cheek. The title proclaimed, Pierrot Hates You, meaning he harbored a deep loathing for humanity. One who despises others would invariably flee or hide, never launch a proactive assault. Thus, the squad merely had to seek out the portrait bearing that mournful black and white face. For safety, he had maintained a distance of 3 meters as a precaution. Then, using his hand of darkness, he reached out to touch the canvas. Just as anticipated, so repulsed by the presence of humanity was Pierrot that he fled in haste, leaving behind an empty frame, the very gateway back to reality. Solium's swift, razor-sharp deduction struck the entire research team dumb, leaving them agape in sheer disbelief. Jigang was utterly shaken. In a mere 30 minutes, within a completely alien domain, how could a mere recruit unravel such a complex mechanism? Yet, ever the cunning old fox, Jigang instantly seized upon a flaw. Hold on, he interrogated. In a corridor shrouded in pitch-black darkness, how could you possibly discern which portrait was black and white? Solium faltered. Suddenly, Captain Lizard appeared, his eyes glowing like twin embers of coal, prompting Solium to quick-wittedly reply, Ah, Because our captain has peerless night vision, sir? It turned out Solium had borrowed Minseong's notebook to draft a flawless, step-by-step guide to breaching the trial. Jigang leafed through the pages. It was terrifying. With nothing but a few scattered fragments of information, this boy had pieced together a flawless solution. Cold sweat broke out across the researcher's brows. The speed of this team's conquest was so absurdly swift that their strategy guide was compiled right on the battlefield. Such a lightning-fast conquest defied all reason, as though guided by some unseen, supernatural hand. Jigang stared intently at Solium, his mind racing. What manner of rookie escapes a domain and drafts an entire manual in under 30 minutes? This boy is undoubtedly a monster in human guise. As Jigang stood there bewildered, Minseong prompted his reptilian commander to surrender the spoils of war, retrieved from within. The lizard's colossal hand rose, presenting a soiled scrap of white cloth. What in the world is this? Jigang demanded. Solium nonchalantly explained. Since Pierrot was crawling backward trying to escape, the captain found it annoying, lunged forward, grabbed him by the neck, and pinned him down, ended up ripping his shirt. The researchers suffered a collective breakdown. Monstrous physical brawn paired with a genius intellect. This Team D was nothing short of a den of monsters. Suddenly, Jigang narrowed his eyes at Solium. Why did the boy suddenly look so familiar? This face. These features. Could he be? Veering sharply, he demanded. Tell me, recruit, have you received anything resembling a calling card? Solium blinked in confusion. Pardon? I just started working here. Who would print a business card for me? Jigang let out a cold sneer, steeping his fingers in a menacing gesture. An admirable act of ignorance. You know precisely what I am referring to. Solium lowered his gaze, averting his eyes from the department head's razor-sharp stare. A jolt of panic struck him as he recalled the bizarre, luminescent white tile he had claimed. Wait, does this old man know about my tile? The tile lay silently in its container, Pyongyang City. It was the very artifact he had scavenged on his first day of being dragged into this wretched company. A flash of supreme wariness darted across Solium's eyes. Who on earth was this Kwok Jigang? And how did he possess knowledge of that lethal secret? Solium stood motionless, his back reflected in the lenses of Jigang's glasses. The man tempted him. Why not try contacting the research team if you wish to accumulate points more swiftly? Fine.
Jigang feignait de surprise.
He cheerfully pressed to find out if there was any reason Solium avoided befriending the team that specialized in hunting the dark zones. Solium could only turn away in silence, his expression helpless, not bothering to explain. The truth was, he was utterly terrified. He knew all too well that those promises of helping to earn points quickly from that crowd held nothing but trouble. They would undoubtedly throw him into a high-level ghost story for experimentation. Just the thought of that grim prospect drained Solium's very soul, freezing him on the spot. He mentally added 3 more reasons to his insomnia tonight. At present, simply grinding through a low-level dark zone granted triple the event points. Why be foolish enough to plunge into those grueling abysses? Even the minor monsters of the lower levels would shrink back in fear just looking at Solium's face right now. Gazing at the exclusive ghost story encyclopedia on his phone, he clutched this lifeline with absolute confidence. I will definitely cling to this lucrative event to the very end. And in all honesty, grinding here was pure heaven. Team D had just conquered yet another dark zone in a record-breaking time of 1 hour and 15 minutes. The entire squad emerged bathed in a glittering aura, looking like superstars. The surrounding crowd of employees gasped in awe, whispering among themselves, they cleared it in an hour again. How many times has that been? At this rate, Team D is going to rewrite the entire company's exploration manual. Hage smiled triumphantly, patting his junior's shoulder with pride. Thanks to Nairo, we've swept through the dark zones 12 times in just a single month. Solium scratched his head humbly. It is all thanks to the dedicated guidance of my seniors. Instantly, a colleague teased. Who guided whom? You've clearly carried this entire team on your back. Seriously. Minseong grinned from ear to ear in sheer delight, eagerly raising his phone to show off his accumulated score for the month, which had reached 5,200 points. Solium's phone chimed with a system message. Congratulations on your 1-month anniversary with the company. Along with it came a monumental score, 45,050 points. His low-level grinding strategy was proving to be immensely effective. Standing amidst the crowd, Solium fell into a quiet contemplation. Caught up in the relentless grind with his team, he suddenly realized he had never spared any time to mingle with the other recruits. Who was the only rookie I regularly interacted with anyway? Hey, I heard you were going on an expedition tomorrow. Care to bet on how many civilians will lose their lives in there? To deal with such lunatics, Solium had to glare back with an equally cold, wary gaze, maintaining his carefully crafted persona as a cold-blooded hunter. In the midst of the tension, Hage turned around and waved. Solium, come sit down. Solium instantly wiped the cool expression from his face and replied obediently, Yes, sir. Before meekly taking his seat. You do know you're drawing a massive amount of attention lately, right? Clearing 10 dark zones at record speed. The higher-ups definitely have their eyes on you. Resting her chin in her hands, she gave him a knowing smile. If you receive any shady offers, make sure to let us know. We will always have your back, and Boss Lizard will cover for you at least once. Solium lowered his eyes slightly, knowing deep down that drawing attention was inevitable. Understood, he murmured. The face of Jigang, the head of the research department, flashed in his mind. They were already beginning to make their moves. Solium told himself that he simply had to endure this burden. Gazing at the bulletin board plastered with maps and missions, Solium analyzed the situation. They couldn't assign too heavy a responsibility to a rookie. The sole saving grace was that, by company regulations, the missions would not be overly difficult. The digital clock clicked to exactly 1 hour and 15 minutes. Yet another record-breaking, rapid clear was officially established. Meanwhile, in the research lab, Supervisor Lee gritted his teeth, his face darkening with envy. They escaped in an hour again. I work myself half to death just to scrape together 500 points. He grumbled with a scowl. It's truly unfair that researchers don't get hazard pay. Isn't that right, Supervisor Lee? As he muttered to himself, Jigang suddenly materialized behind him, causing Lee to jump in fright. Jigang asked, You mentioned that this dark zone requires a large exploration party, correct? Lee stammered in embarrassment. Ah yes, a minimum of 10 people. That means we will have to form a party. Jigang's slender fingers held the pen, poised to assign the mission. Let us see. The squads to be deployed shall be. The pen glided swiftly across the paper, circling 3 names. Squad A, Squad D, Squad Y. Upon seeing the roster, Supervisor Lee narrowed his eyes, a sinister smirk creeping onto his face. The roster for Squad D was laid bare. Jahyun, Hage, Minseong, and Solium. Now this, he gloated, is going to be a splendid show. The following morning, within the sun-drenched hall of the headquarters, an unfamiliar voice shattered the silence. Greetings. Solium turned, slightly startled. Impeccably dressed, his expressions were entirely concealed beneath his familiar, dark crimson mask. The entirety of Squad D, Jahyun, Hage, and Minseong, stood in orderly formation, waiting to make introductions with their counterparts. Are we paired with Squad D today? So it seems. A hand tapped playfully, almost mockingly, against a green file folder. A blond man wearing a green mask stepped close, looming over Solium with a provocative grin. So, you're the rumored monster rookie, Kim Solium? Solium tilted his head, replying with polite composure, Yes, greetings. He noted the gold trim bordering the man's mask. The green-masked man extended a hand with a seemingly amiable smile. A young man of great promise. We should spar sometime when you have a free moment. He then turned back, pointing toward his own unit. Do you see those wearing masks adorned with gold trim? Hage also peered curiously in the direction of his pointing hand. Look closely, the man prompted softly. They are the members of Squad A, the elite of the elite. And those over there who look solemn, exhausted, and bear no gold trim upon their masks, that is Squad Y. Minseong gave a gentle nudge with his elbow, whispering Nai Ro into Solium's ear. Solium listened in silent attention. Minseong quietly explained Squad Y's peculiar hierarchy. Their leader doesn't hold the rank of chief. He is merely an ordinary agent. He cautioned his junior. Just keep your distance and treat Squad Y with basic courtesy. Solium narrowed his eyes, committing the warning to heart. Casting his gaze toward Squad Y, Solium's eyes locked onto a long-haired man wearing a horned mask. A wave of unpleasant memories surged back. It was the very man who had blocked his path during the rookie orientation. The man's desperate question suddenly echoed in his mind. Can you bring back the dead? Minseong patted Solium on the shoulder. If you want to know why, I'll fill you in later. Solium nodded. Understood. In truth, gauging the sheer despair of that long-haired man, Solium had already deduced a fair portion of Squad Y's inner plight. Witnessing his junior's quick wit, Minseong clutched his chest in mock adoration. Oh, our precious Nai Ro is so good. You're as sharp as our lizard boss. It brings tears to my eyes. Solium remained deadpan, utterly unsure whether that was a compliment or a jab at their superior. Suddenly, Jigang stepped onto the dais and clapped his hands to draw their attention. Quiet down, everyone. I shall now brief you on the dark zone we are about to enter. Though, to be perfectly honest, we don't have a single damn shred of information on it. A collective gasp rippled through the briefing room. The green-masked man's face paled as he snapped back. What did you just say, Chief Kwok? The research division knows absolutely nothing? Upon hearing this, the long-haired member of Squad Y broke into a cold sweat, hanging his head in profound dread. Hage let out a long, weary sigh. Minseong quickly gestured to her, whispering, Rein it in a bit, senior. Solium remained cloaked in absolute silence, observing the unsettling reactions of those around him. Up on the dais, Jigang adjusted his glasses, a cryptic and provocative smile playing upon his lips. He nonchalantly explained the lack of information, because history records exactly one instance where a civilian managed to escape. A grim list of tragedies flashed onto the screen. Incident 53, all dead. Incident 54, all dead. Incident 55, all dead. Only Incident 56 had survivors, and then Incidents 57 and 58, wiped out completely. Solium lowered his head beneath his mask. With a mortality rate bordering on 100%, it was little wonder the mission demanded a 10-man squad. Meanwhile, Jigang beamed radiantly from the podium. Now, let us begin the briefing for this journey of death.